When your job wears you out, what do? Well, Giok chose to escape. He left his planet, as if escaping from a prison, after his death. He opened his eyes in a strange, lifeless body. The new planet seemed peaceful, but it was filled with lurking dangers. To make matters worse, the magic that once made him famous had vanished, refusing to accept his fate. Giok embarked on a journey to reclaim his magical power. He confronted the dangers and the ever-tightening grip of darkness. Can he restore his power and hide his true identity to survive here forever? Giok was surrounded by reporters, who relentlessly asked if he really cleared an A-rank gate all by himself. There were rumors he had once subdued an S-rank hunter. During the dungeon collapse incident, he had apparently hidden his true awakening level all this time. The camera flashes continuously lit up his face, but his expression remained as cold as ice. It wasn't because of his talent like everyone thought, but rather a mix of luck and cunning that had kept him alive until now. Giok looked at them, thinking to himself, "I'm just trash." He couldn't even understand the questions from that crowd of reporters anymore. He let out a reply. If I had a plan, would things have turned out like this? If the truth got out that Giok was just an F rank, what would happen? The S-rank hunters he had once subdued would probably be the first to tear him apart. A top hunter, who had entered the gate with him and now turned against him. Would he let him go? Giok might even be carrying a curse. It was truly a disaster. The public watched the interview intently, wanting to hear what he planned to do from now on. On the screen, Giok stated firmly, "I will not disclose that." The media erupted into chaos. They shouted, "So you admit to manipulating your level? Do you have anything to say to the association?" The chaotic sounds pounded in his head. Microphones were shoved in Giok's face. "Please answer us." Giok just lowered his head, not saying a word. His hands hung limp, his mind in turmoil, but anyway, everything was already a mess, no matter what the papers wrote tomorrow. But if this misunderstanding continued, the entire hunter profession would be dragged down with him. Hunter Kim Giok clenched his fist as he heard the shouting. He growled, "I already said no comment. You animals." The shocked reporters asked again. "What did you just say?" Hunter Kim Gi-Aussie, please confirm what you just said. "What do you mean by animals? You're an S-rank, aren't you?" They continued to scream, pleading with him not to get angry and to just answer their questions. Whether he was a powerful monster hiding his true strength or just a useless nobody. Giok had lived on this rotten planet for far too long. He wondered, when did everything start to go off the rails? It all started when Giok decided to quit his job. To be clear, Giok wasn't originally from this planet. On that planet, there existed a civilization with extremely advanced magic. Giok's role as the strongest mage was a crucial part of their system. But one day, he thought to himself, "I have to quit this damn job." His mission was to serve the community, but he was worked to exhaustion without earning a single cent, having to work 640 days a year with no vacations. The technology forced people to give up food and sleep, and working overtime became an unavoidable routine. He wondered when the last time he'd actually left work on time was. Seriously, where exactly did it all start to go wrong? Because of his critical position, quitting was nearly impossible, as they had restrictions in place to retain high-ranking personnel, and using teleportation magic would subject Giok's brain to a powerful electric shock. Even if he escaped his workplace, there was nowhere to hide. Since the entire planet was under the ruler's control, Giok wondered what would happen if he just eliminated his boss. But that was impossible, because he could never bring himself to harm anyone on this planet. This restriction also included Giok himself, so there was almost no way for him to simply disappear. As he was trying to figure out how to quit, an idea suddenly struck him. He remembered that they had only placed magical restrictions on his physical body. His soul, however, was a different story. As no magical technique existed that could bind a soul, that meant his soul could escape freely. Right. The realization made him overjoyed, because that was the key to his escape. 10 years passed since that initial idea, and after countless experiments, he finally perfected a single, unique type of magic: soul manipulation. The soul-splitting spell allowed Giok to escape to a distant planet where no one could trace him. He was thrilled to use the new magic he had created. It had worked successfully. "I'm such a genius," He had finally escaped that suffocating place. Good luck managing the planet without me, you idiots. Giok's soul headed straight for Earth with the thought that he had finally resigned. This was his first time possessing a body and being reincarnated. A faint light gradually appeared in his blurry vision. Giok opened his eyes and realized he was in a different space. Sunlight shone on his hand, causing his fingers to twitch slightly. He raised his hand to look, a series of questions rising in his mind. Giok was surprised to see what looked like a wriggling strip of protein before him. Fortunately, the soul of the previous owner had just recently departed. It seemed everything was going according to plan. Reincarnation was nothing to him. Huh. Hello? He grumbled that even the language change went off without a hitch. This body seems fine, but why is that all? According to his plan, he was supposed to inherit the memories so this body's parents wouldn't notice any difference. But why couldn't he remember anything at all? The memories were like scattered fragments lying all over the place. Giok clutched his head in frustration. What's this? A dull ache started in his stomach. He let out a furious cry. Damn it. Did something go wrong again? His body suddenly slowed down as if he were losing control. His strength drained away, bit by bit. His eyelids grew heavy, his energy completely depleted. Everything before his eyes blurred from exhaustion. Then he sank completely into a state of severe paralysis. Giok screamed, "Crap! This body is starving to death." He had set a few conditions before activating the magic. Rule 1 was to reincarnate into the creature with the highest magical power on the planet, and if that was met, its intelligence would also increase. But he had forgotten to check the physical condition of that body. Giok lamented, thinking he could endure it even as a single-celled organism, but who knew the pain would feel like acid burning through his guts. After reincarnating, his magic was completely unusable. He needs time to get used to the magical energy of this new planet. To ease the pain, he had to find something to put in his stomach immediately. Suddenly, a light pierced through the window. The intense ray of light jolted his consciousness awake. The place he used to live was completely dark, a world where light rarely ever penetrated. But the world where Giok was standing now was completely different from anything he had ever known. His eyes widened at the series of strange phenomena. Giok observed curiously, noticing the warm light and the dry air. His feet touched the ground, which felt hard and dry. He couldn't afford to admire the sky any longer. He had to find food right away. He staggered through the neighborhood, lamenting that he couldn't find anything no matter how hard he looked. His mood soured. Why wasn't there anything to eat? What the heck was wrong with this planet? It was so confusing. There was no doubt about it. The previous owner of this body must have died of starvation. The world around him seemed to turn bleak and gray. Giok bit his lip in despair. He was probably going to collapse from hunger soon himself. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he glanced down at the ground. A small cockroach appeared. It was an insect, but it was still edible, and at this point, he had no other choice. He snatched it up and brought it to his mouth, thankful for the meager meal. But his hand froze when he saw a figure flash past him. Giok's mouth fell open as he stared at the child. It was another person, not an adult, but a child, and what was that he was eating. He tossed the cockroach aside. Clearly, whatever that kid had was much more appetizing. Should he steal it or not, it was a real dilemma. A few cars were parked tightly together in the narrow alley. Driven by his overwhelming hunger, he unconsciously started following the child. Just then, the little boy seemed to notice something was off and froze. He didn't turn his head, but only glanced back slightly. The child's face turned pale at Giok's suspicious appearance. He bolted in a panic, and Giok chased after him, shouting, "Hey, wait up!" Giok scanned his surroundings, wondering what in the world that was. He spotted a flower that didn't look the least bit edible, but it was still a better option than fighting someone else for their food. Suddenly, a loud noise rang out, causing him to freeze in his tracks. Giok narrowed his eyes in annoyance. As he started walking, he thought to himself, "Was that a child's scream? I should probably go check it out." The little kid was trembling uncontrollably, screaming his lungs out. In front of him stood a giant, menacing bird. Its eyes were glowing brightly, and thick smoke poured from its beak. The bird opened its beak and roared, trying to intimidate the little boy. It opened its mouth wide, sending slobber flying everywhere. The monster pecked at the little boy's backpack and lifted it into the air. The terrified child wriggled free from the backpack's straps. He then fell hard to the ground, scraping his skin in the process. The beast kept advancing, its heavy footsteps echoing loudly. The child dodged to the side just as the bird smashed a nearby car to pieces with its beak. It didn't stop and kept chasing him, while the child screamed desperately for help. From a distance, Giok watched. It was a bird, but it was the size of a house. I was just taking a casual stroll, and I run into something like this. This planet really has some serious issues, he thought to himself. Well, at least this is pretty interesting. This body has memories, which means I should be able to eat bird meat. A wild beast that's big enough to be my prey. As a great mage, I could probably take it down with just a cough. Once I get used to the mana on this planet, conquering this world will be an absolute breeze. Giok cut his train of thought short as he sensed something strange. He saw a stream of blue mana flowing past the beast's location. What is that? That stream of light swept right past Giok's feet. A new flow of energy suddenly enveloped him. It was so powerful. It was mana. The sensation reached him down to a cellular level. That's right. This is the magic of Earth. Giok stood stunned for a few seconds, but he couldn't handle that amount of magical energy. It was just too overwhelming. If the other planet was a small bucket, then this place was nothing less than a real swimming pool. How could a jackpot of a place like this even exist? I've really hit it big. With this much mana, nothing is impossible. Just then, a child ran up to him begging, "Sir, please help me." Giok's face darkened when he heard the kid call him that. He was not amused. He slapped his forehead in frustration. Why would a kid put their trust in a total stranger like this? What if I weren't a great mage, but some other guy, Giok said. All right, I'll help you on one condition. That thing you're holding. The child's eyes widened as he asked, "What?" While the child was still confused, the bird monster closed in from behind them. The boy burst into tears, pleading, "I'll give it to you. Please just save me." Giok immediately stepped forward to shield the boy, turning to face the beast. Giok looked up at the monster with a cold, indifferent expression. He said curtly, "Now, step back." As the leader of the 1st Mage Division, he had once protected an entire planet. With a single gesture, he could strip it clean down to the bone. But when Giok tried to channel his magical power, absolutely nothing happened. His gaze froze, completely bewildered by what was happening. Giok scratched his head in confusion. What's going on? Am I just stressed out by this new environment? He let out a laugh of disbelief at his own predicament. Then, faint red streaks of light, like blood, began to flash. Giok changed his stance and tried to cast an explosion spell. He kept switching techniques, and when that didn't work, he tried water magic. Shadow summoning and even curses were completely useless. Giok stood there stunned. Even curses weren't effective. His hand trembled slightly. How did everything turn out like this? Giok panicked. His magic was completely useless. The bird charged after Giok, driven by a gnawing hunger, as he ran and cried, "Somebody help me." Just as he escaped the alley, he ran straight into the front of a 4-wheeled vehicle. The driver slammed on the brakes, his face contorting in terror. Many cars behind were also blocked, but Giok just kept running headlong. The driver stuck his head out and yelled, "You bastard! Are you crazy? You want to die?" Realizing the chaos he was causing, Giok thought quickly, "If it sees me, it'll follow. I have to change direction." The beast stomped its foot, shattering the concrete road into fragments. The BGN killer disregarded everything else. It was only pursuing Giok. It swooped down onto the road, sending cars big and small flying into the air. Giok was bewildered. Why am I the only one being chased so relentlessly? His legs were shaking from exhaustion. He panted heavily as sweat poured down his face, his body on the verge of collapsing from overexertion, not wanting to cause any more destruction to the city. He dodged to the side. This isn't working. I have to change my route. The BG Nercular continued to demolish public property like a frenzied predator. It stepped on a car to gain momentum, launching itself high off the ground. Then it shot straight into the sky at a terrifying speed. Giok grew more and more shocked by the series of insane sights. That giant thing is actually flying. As it began to fall, it extended its steel claws and long fangs. Giok felt death closing in again. This time, I'm definitely going to be eaten. Suddenly, The compressed orb of spiritual power at his hip throbbed with a sharp, searing pain. Giok thought in confusion, what in the world is wrong with this body? But a moment later that didn't matter anymore. The bird was about to grab him. Just at that critical moment, Giok slipped and fell flat on his face, losing any chance of escape. Without a second thought, he tried to scramble back up. But it was too late. An invisible force suddenly appeared and slammed the giant bird into a wall, saving Giok's life. The impact was so immense that it was sent tumbling backward, demolishing dozens of houses, big and small. After that devastating blow, it crashed through everything in its path before plunging headfirst into the cold ground. The entire time, Giok could only cover his head, shut his eyes, and tremble uncontrollably. Only when the sounds began to fade did he dare to peek and see what had happened. Red feathers fluttered down from above, causing him to let out a soft, "Oh." Giok approached the bird's head, his heart filled with doubt. What was that? What just happened? Walking through the shattered rubble, he wondered to himself if it had just crashed into the wall on its own. Giok observed it and made a blunt remark. Does this thing even have a brain? An aggressive bird just flew straight into a wall and died. I'd love to ask a scholar how such a stupid species even manages to exist. As his mind wandered, his stomach growled, pulling him back to reality. This wasn't the time for philosophical questions. This thing is probably edible, right? Since it's a native creature, its amino acid structure is probably unusual. As he was daydreaming about food, a noise from behind startled Giok. Wu Jaeon stood frozen, staring at him like she was seeing a strange, unknown creature. Her face was so rigid that she couldn't even close her lips. A few minutes ago, a child had called for help, repeatedly urging them on, "Hurry up, hurry up!" He had run away in a panic, screaming that a man had been captured by the monster. She rushed forward, following the urgent cries, knowing they couldn't afford to be late. Upon arriving, Wu Jaeon asked urgently, "Is this the last known location?" The police officer replied, "Yes." Worried for everyone's safety, she immediately ordered them to stay back and began to analyze this bird species. The bijinercular is a species of powerful monster bird that originates from the desert gate. Initially, it was an E-rank monster that was easily defeated by conventional weapons, but its rank was later upgraded to C because of its ability to charge as fast as a missile. Hunters below C rank are eliminated before they can even see it, so they had to act quickly before there were any casualties. As Wu Jaeon was assessing the danger, the sight of Giok's figure made her stop in her tracks. Wait. There's someone here. Her face became as rigid as before, because the scene was beyond her comprehension. Giok's figure looked like a demon admiring its prize after taking it down. Wu Jae. An was so shocked her expression became distorted. What the hell? Did he do this himself? Seeing her frozen, the police officer called out. What is it? Hunter Wu Jae. An, she turned and replied. Officer. The child shouted out as if to reassure him. Mister, I called the police. The police officer bowed his head in thanks. Oh my, thank you for your hard work, sir. We got a report about a monster and came right away. Fortunately, it seems to be contained to this area. Giok narrowed his eyes, trying to piece together the information. Hunter. Wait, what is that? I can't seem to remember. The officer thanked him again cheerfully. Thanks for catching it from a distance. Wu Jae. An was still stunned. He caught it that quickly. This man must have really just stumbled upon the monster by accident. Wu Jaeon reconsidered, and it started to make sense. The binocular's natural habitat inside the sandy gate causes people to sink, so on the hard terrain outside, it's easily disoriented. You could probably take one down just by adjusting its angle of attack, without even lifting a finger. But that would only be possible for someone with eyes sharp enough to track its movements. A closer look reveals it was defeated with a clean strike. If that's the case, the person who did this must be at least C rank. While she was analyzing the situation, Giok called out to the child. Hey kid, wait up. Hey you haven't forgotten the promise between us. Have you? The boy looked up at him with clear, bewildered eyes. He bit his lips sadly, then handed the egg to Giok. Giok took it and began chewing greedily to satisfy his hunger. The moment it touched his tongue, his eyes lit up as if he'd found heaven. This is delicious. I've evolved to not need food for so many years, yet an egg this delicious actually exists in the world. Watching him eat so heartily in front of the child. Wu Jie. An paused with a strange look. Did you just take that kid's food? The boy swallowed his sadness and remained silent, not thinking about it any further. She walked over to greet him. Hello there. I'm from the Hunter Association. My name is Seong Wu John. Did you take care of that monster without a scratch? Huh, without wiping his hands, Giok simply replied. Yeah. Wu Jie-an wasn't fazed by his behavior and just continued asking. I haven't seen you in this area before. Are you a freelance hunter? Can I see your hunter license? I have to file a report with the association. Giok kept his head down, eating the egg, while mumbling to himself, what's a hunter license? I guess I'll have to make something up. Thinking this, Giok scratched his head as sweat trickled down. Sorry, I don't have my hunter license with me. Wu Jie-an let out a small sigh, not pressing the issue. I see. In that case, I'll just look you up in the association's hunter registry. What's your name? He nearly froze because he didn't even know it himself. Well, Giok thought to himself. I'm screwed. I don't know this body's name. She saw him freeze up at every question and began to wonder if she should detain him. Wu Jie-an's voice grew sterner, as if trying to force an explanation out of him, but Giok remained silent. You are at least a registered hunter. Right. What about the awakening test? Don't tell me you used your awakened abilities out on a public street without being registered. Her words startled Giok, snapping him back to reality. That's illegal behavior, and you know that. Right. Giok's face went blank. Since he'd never been human before, he had no idea what she was talking about. He tried to think of a way out of this. Am I really going to get caught in such a stupid trap? After a moment's thought, Giok blurted out a plausible excuse. Of course not, I'm already registered. But I left my license at home. If you wait, I can go get it right now. With that, he turned and fled from the chaotic scene. Cold sweat drenched his back as he promised himself he would never go that way again. Arriving home, Giok frantically searched through everything. Let's see now. And then, he finally found what he was looking for. Here it is. Giok looked at the ID card and mumbled, Kimki Rieo, is this my new name? But he couldn't find a hunter's license anywhere, which meant this body had never been registered as a hunter. Giok's gaze fell on a nearby ashtray and a pack of cigarettes. Completely bewildered, what in the world was going on? He picked up the cigarette pack, trying to scan his memories to understand the situation. Then, Giok suddenly remembered something extremely important. That's right, cigarettes. He immediately understood the problem. The previous owner of this body was a heavy smoker. He crushed the cigarette pack in his hand, his face darkening. Damn it, this guy was a chain smoker. Smoking could be fatal for a mage because their body needs to combine internal and external mana to cast spells. At that moment, a question popped into his head. Which organ connects the internal and external mana? That organ is the respiratory system, specifically the lungs. Just thinking about it made Giok furious, so this was the reason he couldn't cast any magic. What the hell possessed him to destroy his own lungs? In Anfauri, where everyone uses mana. This was unimaginable. It seemed like something only a primitive person would do. Who knew someone could be this foolish? Giok sighed and regulated his breathing, trying to calm himself down. Easy now. Now that's settled. What's next? It's my fault for getting carried away by the amount of mana and forgetting to check the new body's condition. He walked over to a mirror, thinking of a solution. There has to be a way to fix this. Right. I managed to escape from that place, so I can't give up over something as small as this. Either way, this is a new life. I'm definitely going to live it to the fullest. But before he could even settle down, the next crisis struck. A guard tilted his head in confusion and reprimanded him. Hey, why would a guy like you do something like that? In the middle of the commotion, he replied nonchalantly, I'm sorry. Perhaps Giok had underestimated Earth. Getting caught just a few hours after his arrival, Giok's body was so battered that it made anyone who saw him shudder. The investigation had already dragged on for 10 minutes. He clutched his stomach, his face as pale as a corpse's. drool dripping from his mouth. He was starving to death. He screamed internally, "There's still so much to learn about Earth. But first, I have to deal with this empty stomach." Just then, it was as if the god of wind took pity on him and sent a gift. Wait, what's that smell? Before his eyes, a world visible only to Gyeok appeared. It was pork soup. Just a few minutes later, a steaming bowl of soup was brought to him. It really is pork soup. Gyeok looked at the soup, on the verge of tears, and scolded himself. I'm such an idiot. There was clearly food right here. He scooped up the first spoonful and put it in his mouth. And then, it was time for the verdict. The delicious flavor shot straight to his brain, making his eyes light up as if he had just reached enlightenment. After that, Gyeok started devouring the food as if he was afraid someone would snatch it away. This is so good. It's hot, but it's delicious. Damn it, my mouth just won't stop, and my hand keeps scooping more. Yeah, up to that point, things were still manageable. Up to that point. A moment later, he was stopped and accused of dining and dashing. It's not like the country is at war, so why would a kid like him do something like that? Gyeok waved his hands, trying to explain himself, when suddenly the police officer had a moment of recognition. I almost forgot, he exclaimed. Aren't you the hunter from the other day? After a brief scolding, the officer let him go. Don't do that again. Consider this a warning. Gyeok bowed his head in thanks. I'll pay for it. Can I go now? The officer pulled a card from his jacket and stopped him. Wait a minute. Take this before you leave. From what I've gathered, it seems you haven't registered as a hunter yet. You must have just awakened recently. You should stop by the Awakening Evaluation Center. Don't worry, it's completely free. Make sure you go. I'm actually pretty jealous. Gyeok held the paper, his mind a complete mess. What the heck is an awakening? Is this something every person on Earth is supposed to know? He was so insistent. Maybe I should check it out. It's close by anyway. Not long after, Gyeok found himself standing in front of a building that looked exactly like the picture on the flyer. It was a massive center, and he couldn't take his eyes off of it. Evaluation Center A. Gyeok's eyes widened in amazement as if he were seeing it for the first time. Dim, dark memories began to surface. Had Kim Gyeok been to this place before? The flyer listed the lowest rank as F, and it was only then that Gyeok finally understood the situation. I remember now. Kim Gyeok used to be an F rank awakened. As he was lost in thought, a familiar voice pulled him back to the present. Hello. We meet again. Gyeok turned and replied casually. Hello. Woo Jae-on asked curiously. What brings you to the association? Now that you're here, could you show me your hunter's license? My big mouth is going to be the death of me. A license, I'll get it right away. Oh no, I lied about that before. Thankfully, some of his memories had returned. Thinking this, Gyeok let out a sigh of relief. Sorry about that. I panicked and made it up. The truth is, I don't have a hunter's license yet. Woo Jae-on crossed her arms and nodded in understanding. That explains why you never came back, Gyeok added. But I have registered before. I just didn't get the card made because I was so disappointed with the results. Woo Jae-on was stunned. Gyeok put on a cool act. I'm an F rank. Hearing this, her expression changed. You're an F rank, and you managed to take down a BGN killer, he replied nonchalantly. It was just a lucky break. Gyeok recounted that at that moment. That stupid bird just flew headfirst into a wall. It was a ridiculous reason, but everyone was speechless after hearing it. Woo Jae-on was stunned for a few seconds. After all, it wasn't unheard of for a monster to just die because it couldn't adapt. But his relaxed expression, as if he'd dealt with 100 C-rank monsters, was what was truly terrifying. There wasn't a hint of panic in him. Why would he hide his abilities? Usually, people like that are involved in illegal activities. Suspicion grew in Woo Jae-on's mind. Could this man be? She gave a light laugh to brush it off. I see. You're really lucky. BG Nurculars are known for being idiots. Earthlings are so skilled at expressing emotions with their facial muscles. I should learn from them to blend in. Let's try it now. He forced his face to copy her. Yes, that twisted smile would make anyone who saw it shudder. I'm really lucky. That bizarre smile was like a lightning bolt to her. Woo Jae-on's suspicion skyrocketed. What kind of expression was that? It's too suspicious. I have to get out of here. She said no more, reaching into her pocket. On second thought, I have something I want to give you. What's your name? He answered curtly. I'm Kim Gayok. She handed him a yellow bill. All right, Mr. Gayok, take this. It was a genuine 50,000 won bill. His mind was full of questions, giving money as a greeting. What kind of weird custom is this, unable to hold back? He asked. Why are you giving this to me? Wu Jaeon explained. You left the BGN killer's corpse behind. I took care of it, so this is your share. The only thing Jiok could think of was pork soup. Each bowl was 8,000 won, so this bill could buy a whole 6 bowls. He never thought that bird was worth anything. Can you sell its feathers, Wu Jae? An shook her head. No, its body is too soft, so no one buys it. But lucky for you, it had a C-rank mana stone inside worth about 2 million won. Giok's eyes widened. Wait a minute, 2 million won, so why is my share only 50,000? She hadn't originally planned to say anything, but seeing it was necessary, she decided to speak up. The damage you caused while catching it. My superiors complained, the cost to repair the roads and bridges. You did a real number on them. Wu Jaeon threw cold water right in Giok's face, because I was the one who took responsibility for everything. If they hadn't run, we could have legalized that hunt. Her words stabbed Giok in the heart. I'm sorry. Wu Jaeon was indifferent. Her lips moved slightly as if she wanted to say something, but then she turned away without another word. It's fine. Have a good afternoon. He stared after her retreating figure for a long time without blinking. He unconsciously crumpled the bill in his hand. 2 million won. Huh. Back on my home world, that bird was no different from a maggot crawling on the street. 200,000 won for each one. That's 75 bowls of soup with rice. To survive, Giok needs money. He came to Earth to live a happy life. To enjoy it to the fullest, he needs to earn even more money. A look of pure joy appeared on his face. So then, Giok clutched the money tightly, unable to hide his joy. I have to become a hunter. Honestly. Before lunch today, his future looked incredibly bleak. This body was dirt poor, and eating a single bowl of soup would have used up all his remaining money. But things are different now. He knows that being a hunter can make him a lot of money. Then I'll just hunt using magic, even though I can't quite use it yet. I need to find some monsters. Just as he was thinking that, someone shouted, Hey, there's a gate over there. Giok immediately turned in the direction they were pointing. A gate. Passers-by gathered to watch. This is my first time seeing a real gate. I didn't expect it to be so big. Below, 2 people stood guard, preventing anyone who wasn't a hunter from getting past. The gate. Terrifying images of monsters flashed through his mind. This is where hunters go to hunt. Gates are ranked based on their mana density. The higher the rank, the more dangerous it is inside. The mana this time is really strange. I heard there are monsters inside. I want to analyze it further, but with a crowd this big, it's hard to get any closer. As Giok felt conflicted, he detected a flow of mana. Are there any other gates nearby? He followed the stream of mana, breaking away from the crowd. What's this? This time the gate is deep in a deserted forest, and it's very close. A moment later, Aok placed his hand on a tree trunk near the entrance. He wiped his sweat and passed through the barricade. Grumbling. Another gate. This gate is so flashy. Earthlings really do have strange taste. He walked straight toward the restricted area. Why would they decorate it with grass and trees? A few minutes later, the official team in charge arrived on the scene. Yoon-sung reported as soon as he arrived. Hello, manager. We're at the gate now. The person on the other end replied, Yes. Yoon-sung. Are there any civilians nearby? Standing behind the barricade tape, he answered firmly. It's fine. The area has been cordoned off. The manager sighed in frustration. These mutation cases are such a pain. How many have we had this month? Yoon-seong assured him. Don't worry, we'll investigate it immediately. After ending the call, he adjusted his equipment and got ready to move out. Yoon-seong put on his protective gear and told his friends, Let's go. One of the group members exclaimed. It stinks, like walking into a cave in the middle of summer. Yoon-sung looked at his manometer and said, The density inside is D rank. The guy with glasses scratched his neck and said casually, It's always like this, whenever something goes wrong. The gate's rank jumps by 2. He said this while looking around. Let's just finish this quickly and go get a drink. Yoon Seung suggested worriedly. Maybe we should slow down a bit. We're moving too fast. The man looked back and replied snidely. Huh. Why should we? He said that because he was cautiously looking around. They had gone quite far without seeing any sign of monsters. The other guy patted Yoon Seung on the head a few times to reassure him. Yoon Seung rubbed his head in confusion and was even scolded. Geez, you're so young and such a coward. When people mentioned the A-rank hunter, An Yoon Seung, everyone thought his team was as solid as a rock. But as soon as those words were spoken, reality hit him with a blow he couldn't possibly counter. They continued to speak with confidence, not bothering to think too far ahead. Giok tightened his grip on his weapon, realizing he had ventured deep into the cave, had mistakenly entered an A-rank gate, and still hadn't seen a single monster. Suddenly, he sensed a strange stream of mana light approaching him. Blue energy gathered, enveloping Giok in the dense, dim space. His cold blue eyes scanned the stream of energy, clearly discerning the direction of the mana. Giok followed the trail of energy. It was faint and crude, but it still pulsed with a rhythm of life. He traced the path of the mana's source, suspecting it might be from a person. Then he saw the energy stream extending towards the gate, indicating that someone else had already entered. At that very moment, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed, growing closer and closer. He pressed himself against a large rock to hide, warily trying to see what was happening. Giok tilted his head, closely watching every movement, trying to get a clear look at the object up ahead. A giant golem appeared, its eyes flashing ominously in the darkness. Fresh blood dripped in a stream from a large rock, a sign of a recent battle. Beneath the golem's massive body were 3 hunters, watching tensely. The golem's brilliant purple eyes staring through the silence made everyone take a step back. Yoon Seung, who was usually handsome, now had his face smeared with blood from a long gash. His body collapsed to the ground, going limp from the massive blood loss. Seung-min panicked. Oh my god, were they sent to their graves with just one punch? Jang Ran-yi also trembled. This can't be happening. Yoon Seung screamed. Don't panic, stay calm. If we make a mistake, we'll all be finished. A teammate's voice suddenly called out, Yoon Seung, behind you. He frowned, only daring to glance quickly to check all directions. Yoon Seung immediately erected a large mana shield that enveloped the entire party. The golem's ferocious attack came crashing down directly onto the shield barrier. A powerful blast of air shot from a distance, tearing through the wind and slamming into its stomach. Yoon Seung's eyes widened as he watched the situation change right before him. He held the shield firm, bracing himself to push back against the golem's tremendous weight. Then another bright blast of energy shot straight down, locking its entire body in place. Mana threads bound the golem tightly, making it difficult for it to even twitch. The golem's eyes gradually dimmed, and its body swayed as if about to fall backward. In the heavy darkness, he and his shield remained hovering, holding their ground. The next blast of air whipped forward, making Yoon Seung's armor vibrate. The landing impact smashed into the ground, shattering the floor and sending dust billowing up. From behind a boulder, Giok's face peeked out, observing with extreme caution. Yoon Seung leaned down to inspect each part of the golem's body. Just then, he seemed to notice something unusual, causing his eyes to fly open. Seung-min Yikmep remarked that it was just as expected of Yoon Seung, even on the defensive. An A rank is still an A rank. Jang Rani nodded. To think he could fight back against that giant. He said in a cold voice, I will recover Cheon-min's body, let's head back. Suddenly, the golem's eyes blazed to life behind him, and a terrifying sound echoed out. His face tensed and his eyebrows furrowed, as if disaster was imminent. He spun around in a flash, channeling all his power behind him. No one expected the golem to grab him directly, lifting him into the air as his whole body trembled uncontrollably. The giant hand slammed him down onto a boulder, the force of the impact cracking the stone beneath. Yoon Seung couldn't withstand it, continuously spitting up blood due to the overwhelming power difference. It shook him violently in the air, making his head spin and feel dizzy. Then it suddenly flung him far away, as if throwing an object. Seung-min Kang and Jia Chan screamed in terror. Yoon Seung. Seung-min immediately rushed forward, striking directly at the giant figure. The surprise attack made the golem's body sway, causing it to lose its footing. Seungmin's purple eyes glowed as he sensed the approaching mana, and he immediately drew his sword. In the vast, empty space, his figure was small, yet he stood firm before the monster. He channeled his inner energy, pushing off the ground to leap up, unleashing an attack amidst a cloud of dust. He suddenly panicked when he saw the sword break in two in his hand, sweat beading on his forehead. The golem swatted him away as easily as flicking dust, without any difficulty. He was sent flying high, suspended for a moment in mid-air. Behind Jiangrani, the fierce battle was still raging on. Seungmin crashed hard onto the ground, collapsing in pain, with only the sight of Jiangrani's back remaining. She felt a bone-chilling aura closing in step by step. The giant, 10 times the size of a normal person, was charging straight for her. Jiangrani glanced behind her, her whole body trembling with fear. The golem clenched its fist, slowly lowering it right above her head. In that thick, heavy pressure, she was nearly immobilized, unable to fight back. Suddenly, a flash of bright energy shot forward with incredible speed. Yoon-sung raised a shield to block the golem's fist, using all of his remaining inner energy, but his condition was weakening. Blood dripped from his head, and his body trembled. She bit her lip, trembling as she heard a voice urge her. "Use the binding spell now. If you don't restrain it, no one will leave this place alive." Yoon-sung screamed in pain. The entire team is going to be wiped out. His eyes now only begged for survival. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up." Sweat streamed down Yoon-seung's face as he quickly scanned his surroundings. At that moment, he heard her running. The sound of her footsteps scraping against the ground was crystal clear. Yoon-sung was horrified. "What? Where are you going?" Jiangrani gritted her teeth and ran, abandoning him amidst his choked screams. "Are you just going to leave us?" Yoon-seung's desperate cry rang out. "What about Jaeon-min? This can't be happening." His face was pale, sweat soaking his forehead. "Please, don't abandon me." The shield began to crack, and Yoon-sung desperately called after her. "Don't run away." Just then, the golem's fist slammed into the ground and a thunderous explosion echoed. Yoon-seung's body was crushed, and blood sprayed into the air like rain. In the cold heart of the cave, his body lay motionless and alone. After the betrayal, what I felt wasn't anger, but emptiness. Thanks to the dungeon collapse phenomenon, I awakened as an A rank and received a ton of offers from major guilds. I formed a party, made allies, and cleared gates smoothly. I thought everything was finally on the right track. But in the end, it all came to this. My body lying motionless on the cold, hard ground. How pathetic. Suddenly, a slab of rock flew straight at the giant golem. It immediately turned its head to investigate. Looking around cautiously, Gyeok stepped out from the shadows, saying coldly, "I just couldn't watch anymore." This is the true nature of Earthlings, so the analysis is complete. Seeing it up close like this, there's no room for doubt. However, this model is quite old, but that doesn't matter. It's interesting to meet you here. Golem A clay body with a mana core. Golems serve all sorts of roles in Anfari, from everyday heavy labor like hauling cargo, to assisting with the construction of various structures, and even combat. Anfari is a nation built by the hands of golems. Gyeok mused that even he was pursuing the art of golem warfare. He silently guessed that the monsters were scarce because this thing was guarding the place, and the gate seemed to have been taken over. Gyeok faced the gatekeeper, having already caught its attention anyway. There was no easy way to retreat now. He slowly pulled his hands from his pockets. It looked like a fight was about to break out. "Even though I can't use magic, there are other ways." A giant arm shot out like a bolt of lightning. It tried to grab Gyeok, but he dodged it in an instant. The impact cracked the ground, sending dust and rock fragments flying everywhere. The golem didn't let up, charging toward Gyeok again, but he still nimbly dodged the attack. The more the golem missed, the more enraged it became. It continued to attack relentlessly. Gyeok was being pressured, but he still managed to dodge and escape. He broke out in a sweat from its overwhelming power. He lost his composure. He thought things would go according to plan, but everything had gone completely sideways. He was only able to dodge because of its large and heavy body, but Gyeok started to feel exhausted and cursed inwardly. This worn-out body is such a pain. Suddenly, he turned to his left, his eyes wide with panic. The golem was already standing there, and he had no idea for how long. If he had been a split second slower, he would have been taken down. The golem pulled its hand back, preparing to launch another attack. It immediately gathered more power than before. Giok quickly dodged the blow, but the monster didn't stop there. It swung its arm down again, sending Giok flying nearly 10 feet. He tumbled away before pushing himself up from the ground. The golem continued to charge, not giving him a single moment to rest. Giok was overjoyed when he saw its hand was stuck. This is great, perfect timing. He stood up, ready to counterattack. Disabling the golem shouldn't be too difficult. The gem on the golem's hand wasn't for decoration. It was a mana sensor. Giok rushed towards it. All he needed to do was implant the emergency stop command. But only its master and creator would know the stop code. Nevertheless, Giok didn't hesitate and immediately cast his magic. For a crude golem like this one, the code should be easy to guess. His body began to glow, a blue light spreading all over him. The golem's eyes began to turn red as it started to stagger. It crashed heavily to the ground, shaking the entire area. Giok climbed onto its body. Since it was just an emergency stop command, it wasn't completely shut down yet. To shut it down completely, he had to remove the core from the middle of its back. He slowly walked towards the core located in the middle of the golem's back. Giok fixed his eyes on the core, the part that needed to be removed. He placed his hand on the protective stone plate and lifted it gently. Doing it bare-handed was a bit reckless, but he had no other choice as he removed it. A strange flash of light shone from within. Giok leaned in close to get a better look at the golem's core. Inside was an incredibly large, spherical energy mass. He mustered all his concentration to pull the core out. Giok severed almost all the connections linked to the core one by one. Finally, he forcefully pulled the energy sphere from its body. Only then did the golem officially shut down completely. Because its core had been removed from its body, Giok held the sphere in his hand, smiling as if he'd just won a great victory. Not far away, Yoon-sung was also getting beaten to a pulp by the other golem. Yoon-sung's arm hung limply, touching the floor. His hand trembled weakly. As he lay dying, he remembered his mother's words. Yoon-seung, I know you want to be a hunter, but do you have any idea how dangerous this job is? Back then, Yoon-sung had just laughed it off, saying, Don't worry, Mom, I might not look like much, but I'm an A-rank awakened being. But his mother was still not reassured. And it turned out she wasn't wrong. Before she could finish her sentence, he had interrupted her. Mom, Yoon-sung took her hand, reassuring her gently. He said, I'm a recognized hunter now, so you don't have to worry. I promise I'll show you what I can achieve on this path as a hunter. His mother looked at him as he pleaded, just this once. Please trust your son. After that, he bowed his head to his mother and said, I'm off now. Even so, Yoon-sung's mother couldn't hide the worry in her heart. Yoon-sung, she gently reminded him, no matter what you do, please be careful. Yoon-seung slowly opened his eyes after the brutal beating. He strained, pushing himself up with his hands to get to his feet. His body trembled weakly, but Yoon-seung still forced himself to get up. His gaze suddenly froze, as if he had just seen something unbelievable. Before him stood Giok on the golem's corpse, radiating an overwhelming aura. What in the world was going on? What in the world just happened? He looked at Giok in bewilderment. Did he really just take down a golem with his bare hands? Then he grew even more curious. How did he even get in here? This place is guarded and monitored, unless... A thought flashed through Yoon-seung's mind. He's a hunter. Giok tossed the golem's core to the ground and started walking step by step toward Yoon-sung. Seeing this, Yoon-sung thought, he's coming closer. He was extremely tense and let out a curse. Damn it. He was almost completely exhausted, still unable to move a muscle. Yoon-sung slowly lifted his head to look up. He froze. Giok was already standing right in front of him. Giok called out softly, startling Yoon-sung. He held out his hand as if to offer help. Do you need a hand? Sunlight shone down on the tall buildings. An angry voice rang out. Those damn reporters! Is this really how you wanted to make the headlines? Yoon-seung replied calmly. But the papers aren't wrong. Trung-hua shouted. Yoon-seung, he said. Why wait until later to speak up? Trung-hua explained. I know another hunter took down the monster. Not you, but you don't even know that person's name, and if he was stronger than you, how could he not be famous? But look, nobody knows who he is. Maybe he hasn't even registered as a hunter yet. Luckily, the reporters are only focused on the A-rank monster for now. If this drags on, Yeon Sung shot up and yelled, "Director on," he said calmly. "I'm doing this for you. Yeon Sung, this incident will only tarnish your career. Even though you're an A-rank hunter, the moment you show any weakness, you'll immediately become a target for others. You get that, right? Why don't you just take the credit for defeating the golem?" Yoon Seung clenched his fist and then sighed. "I'm sorry. I think it's better to be honest. It's the least I can do out of courtesy for the one who actually defeated it." "That person probably isn't the type to do bad things," Trung Hoa asked again. "Are you sure?" Yoon Sung replied, "If he had bad intentions, he wouldn't have left me alive. He's a good person. And I really want to repay him." After hearing this, Trung Hoa fell silent and then said, "I understand. If that's what you've decided," he said softly. "I'll be leaving now," Yoon Sung replied. "Yes." Yoon Sung walked out of the room, while Trung Hoa remained seated, deep in thought. He muttered to himself, "A hunter who can easily defeat a golem that An Yoon Sung's team couldn't even handle." Trung Hoa frowned. "Is there really a hunter who's both strong and righteous? I'd really like to meet him." In his small room, Giok sat smiling brightly, as if he'd just discovered something amazing. He thought to himself, "Earthlings are truly incredible." Last night, he had accidentally unlocked the phone and it stayed lit up the entire time. Gung had asked, "What is this?" Giok was stunned. To be able to look up information without any special privileges, this is truly a paradise. Thanks to that, I was able to gather a ton of data. First of all, the gate he entered isn't privately owned. Next, each gate has different restrictions and regulations. South Korea strictly controls its awakened, and you need approval to enter a gate. The agency in charge is the Korean Hunter Association, or Hunhayup for short. And another thing, Hyun Sung wasn't a thief trying to steal items from inside the gate. Giok smirked. And this guy is supposed to be A rank. He stared intently at the screen, muttering, and then, "It seems I need to get a hunter's license first." "At the training ground," Gina announced. "This is the theoretical course on gate safety. We'll be handing out the equipment shortly, so please wait a moment." Giok let out a long yawn, finding it unbearably boring. In short, the lesson was, don't be an idiot and risk your life against monsters. An instructor approached and handed him a device, saying, "Here, take this." Giok looked bewildered. He asked in surprise, "What's this?" Whispers broke out. "What? He doesn't know what that is. That's surprising." Someone asked gently, "Is that the one you picked?" Everyone started gossiping. "Where does he live? In the mountains? Or maybe he's from another planet?" Giok broke out in a sweat. "Oh no," he thought. "Have I already been exposed as an outsider?" The instructor explained, "This is a basic analysis device. It uses magic lens technology, and I'll show you how to use it now." Gina said enthusiastically, "Everyone has their device now." "Right, okay. Now use it to scan this monster through the lens." A sparkling butterfly flew around. Giok thought, "Really, I have to scan that thing." After identifying it, the device displayed the information F-rank poison butterfly. Giok mused to himself, "So humans use tools to identify their opponents." Taehun said excitedly, "This device doesn't just identify monsters, it can also find items." Giok repeated. "Items," he continued. "The device helps you find resources nearby. Try scanning around and see." Giok pointed the device at Taehun, but the display showed no data. He thought, "So it doesn't work on humans." He scanned a red bush, and information appeared. Hot fruit. Characteristics. Red. Fibrous flesh. He was surprised, so this is the item identification feature. The machine actually recognized it. He then tried it on a clump of dirt. The panel showed an error, no data, and he was even more surprised. Giok mumbled, "What's this? It clearly recognizes useful items." He suddenly had a thought. Wait a minute. Maybe the machine only recognizes items that contain mana. It just distinguishes between things with mana and things that are useless. It's convenient, I suppose, but not very accurate. There are still plenty of useful things that don't contain any mana, like this clump of dirt, for example. Giok closed his eyes in thought. It just looks like ordinary dirt, he whispered. Absorption magic. A rare type of spell that can absorb mana, Giok thought. It seems no one here knows about absorption magic, which is really strange. If magical research is so developed, how could they have missed this? He pondered. Why hasn't anyone recognized it? Wait a second. He stepped forward and said politely, "Excuse me, I have a question," Tahun replied. "Yes, please ask," Giok asked. "Do you know when the Awakened first appeared in Korea?" He answered immediately. "Yes, of course. It was 7 years ago. That's when the dungeon shock created the first Awakened, and it spread across the entire world at the same time." Hearing this, Giok was confused and asked, "What?" Giok paused, thinking, 7 years ago. Only 7 years, while the history of Anfori's magic spans over 60,000 years. I see, so he has to live among these very primitive people. All the equipment here runs on electricity, but the designs are strange. Could it be that electrical technology developed too quickly? He continued to think. Primitive magic coexisting with modern technology. Evolution is proceeding in such an unusual way, it's truly fascinating. Even so, with his mind still reeling, Giok bent down. He used his hand to scrape at the patch of dirt from before and picked some of it up. An idea suddenly struck him. I can use absorption magic and no one will ever find out. Being a hunter is a job that can make you a ton of money, if you've got the guts. But compared to all the glamorous stories they spin, the life of a low-rank hunter is no different from hell. He sighed. His leg was injured again, and he couldn't even use magic. I have to figure something out before I run out of money and starve to death. Giok glanced at the bag beside him and thought, I've gathered quite a bit of mana thanks to the essence absorption technique. According to the information I have, this amount of mana could kill a few types of monsters on Earth, but they only appear in C-rank gates. But since I'm F-rank, I'm not allowed to enter according to the regulations. Besides, it's a bit risky to use the essence absorption technique without knowing more about this world. And to make matters worse, this borrowed body is also F-rank. While Giok was lost in thought, his phone rang, startling him so much he knocked over the table. Damn, that scared me. He looked at his phone. It was an emergency alert. Monsters have escaped a Red Gate dungeon near the Mapo district in Seoul. A B-rank monster is present. Please evacuate after confirming the movement route. After reading it, he wondered to himself, what in the world is going on? He looked at the screen and said, evacuate, huh? Then he frowned and silently asked himself, what does evacuate even mean? He quickly put on a suit and ran outside to see what was happening. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw panicked citizens running around frantically, shouting that monsters had escaped the dungeon. Someone screamed, "Whoa, that's a B-rank monster." Those words made Giok look toward the monster. It looked like a dinosaur standing on a tower, sticking out its long tongue. The crowd pushed and shoved to get a better look. Suddenly, a young reporter named Jin Ho ran right into Giok, exclaiming, "Excuse me." The hard collision knocked him to the ground. The man glanced at him with contempt. So weak a little push knocks you over. You're just blocking the way and making noise. Giok stared back with a cold gaze. The man growled, "What's with the attitude? You looking for a beating?" Giok didn't understand what he was saying and just lamented internally. What's this guy's problem? I was just looking. The man pointed his camera at him and smirked. You've got some nerve. Old man, don't you know I'm a hunter? Let me tell you, we're on completely different levels. I'm not foolish enough to rush near a monster hoping for an awakening like you. I'm here to gather footage for my job. Giok stood up and replied calmly, Me too. I'm also a hunter. And I'm here for the same reason as you, the man asked. Oh, is that so? What rank are you? He answered directly, F rank. The man burst out laughing, spitting a little from the shock. He kept laughing while holding his camera. This is unreal. Giok watched him and thought, hey, you were just laughing, weren't you? That guy was definitely laughing. He was still flustered, trying to figure out if that guy was laughing at him. Suddenly, the dinosaur-like monster opened its mouth and let out a huge roar when it saw a helicopter circling above. The soldiers in the helicopter immediately aimed their weapons and fired repeatedly at the target. The bullets sparked in clusters as they ricocheted off its scales. The monster whipped its tail forcefully into one of the helicopters. The aircraft lost its balance and plummeted toward the ground. Then it exploded into a violent inferno. The remaining helicopter carrying the hunter team, including Yoon Seong, received orders to approach and provide support. The monster crawled down and slammed into the glass, causing the people inside to flee. It shot out its long tongue, wrapped it around two civilians, and yanked them from the tower. The two civilians screamed and cried in terror as they were dragged away. Its crimson eyes seemed to feed on everyone's fear. Hansu charged forward and swung his sword, slicing the monster's tongue in two. It roared in pain as the two civilians escaped from the jaws of death. Yuan Sung saw the monster charging toward the civilians. He shouted a warning that the monster was about to rush the civilians. Hunter Yoon immediately drew her bow, charging her arrow with mana. She fired two flaming arrows into the monster's tail. The powerful, spinning arrows severed its tail completely. The monster, in agony, was forced to stop and then dove downward to find an escape route. It crawled while baring its teeth and growling, its eyes glowing red. Yeon Seong activated his lightning ability and dove down toward the monster. The impact forced its body to arch before it crashed to the ground. He launched his attack, a flash of blue energy reflecting his fierce determination. Taking advantage of the falling momentum, he raised his shield and closed in on the target. Then he gathered his strength and delivered another powerful blow to its body. His face showed intense concentration and an iron will. The monster groaned in agony after he landed an incredibly powerful strike. The force of the blow snapped its neck, finishing it off completely. Yoon Seung let out a sigh of relief as he stood before his victory. The crowd erupted in cheers. They got it. They really took it down. Those hunters are amazing, Jinho said. Look, they're coming over. I wonder if we can ask for a picture. Giok watched the group of hunters approaching and thought to himself, after a few encounters, I've come to understand one thing. In this world, A-rank hunters are in the top 3% of the awakened. They are the strongest force, protecting the cities and admired by all of society. Perhaps that's why everyone was pushing and shoving just to get a glimpse of an A-rank hunter. The crowd jostled each other, shouting, "It's Hunter Yoon Sung. I've only ever seen him on TV." Yoon Sung approached and stood directly in front of Giok, offering a greeting. Suddenly, he grabbed Giok's hand. Yoon Seung smiled brightly and said, "You're the one who saved me." "Right, I can't believe we're meeting again. If it hadn't been for you back then, I would have been done for. You might not remember me, but I'm the person you saved at that gate. You held off that golem all by yourself. You were so cool back then." Giok nodded and replied, "Oh, now I remember." The guy who had just been looking down on him was now flustered, thinking, no wonder he looked so familiar. Jinho overheard the entire conversation and turned to look at the guy, whose face had gone pale and was dripping with sweat. Yoon Seong then asked Giok, "Are you with this man?" Yoon Seung stared directly at him and said, "I saw you trying to scam people just now." Giok thought to himself, if it were me, I would have been wary of him too. The two of them stared at the man, leaving him stammering and speechless. Yoon Sung shifted his gaze, smiled brightly, and said, "Since we've run into each other, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Ha Yoon Sung. If you don't mind, could you tell me your name?" Giok replied, "Kim Ki Ryo." Yoon Sung smiled. "Ah, so your name is Kim Ki Ryo." Giok took the card, and Yoon Sung continued to ask, "Are you free right now?" He scratched his head with a laugh. "I'd like to talk with you for a little while." He was a little surprised. He lowered his voice and asked, "Do you really want to repay me?" Yoon Sung scratched his head and replied hesitantly, "Mr. Giok, I know you may not like this, but I don't see any other way. Ever since you disappeared, it's been weighing on me. After all, you saved my life." Giok rubbed his chin, remembering the time when all he could do was run from the police. There's nothing wrong with an A-rank hunter wanting to repay his debt, not wanting to disappoint him. Giok replied, "Actually, there is something." Hearing this, Yoon Seung's face lit up. "Really? Just leave it to me." A specific location was displayed on the map on his phone. He held up his phone and said calmly, "Could you enter this gate with me?" The sky was overcast, and the forest was withered and lifeless. Giok turned to him and asked, "You don't look so good these days." Yoon Sung hesitated. "It's nothing. Really." Giok led the way with Yoon Seung following behind. "Is that so? Let's speed up. Shall we? He asked. Yoon Seung replied politely, yes. No matter how he thought about it, it was hard to believe. Yoon Seung was inwardly astonished that a hunter like Gi-ok could be so humble. A few minutes earlier, he had said, "It's an honor to enter a gate with you. Are you here to collect materials?" Gi-ok shook his head. "No, I'm here to hunt monsters." Yoon Seung was taken aback. "Is that right? Then this will be a great learning experience for me." Gi-ok sighed. "I need to clear a few things up since someone's getting the wrong idea." Yoon Seung, not quite understanding, Yoon Seung just replied, "Yes." Gi-ok held up his hunter's license, his voice calm. "I'm an F-rank hunter, so you can just think of me as a porter, back in the present." Yoon Seung still looked doubtful, wondering to himself, is he really an F-rank, or was the evaluation wrong? Yoon Seung nodded as if to reassure himself. That's right. He had heard about this before. Mid to high-rank awakened beings are often forced to get involved in major dungeon incidents. So there are rumors that some people intentionally have their ranks lowered to avoid being monitored. Yoon Seung muttered. Could it be that Gi-ok is also hiding his true awakened abilities? Gi-ok looked down, his expression still calm, and whispered, "Found them." Down in the chasm was a swarm of one-eyed monsters, which made him quietly exclaim, "Inu internet." Yoon Seung also looked down and said in surprise, "Huh, those are flame spitters?" He then frowned and asked, "What kind of a name is flame spitter anyway?" He explained that there was once a translation incident with the South Korean analysis department. That monster first appeared in Ohio, and because it's wreathed in fire, it was called a fire bat in the system, but a translation error turned the name into flame spitter. Gi-ok was a little surprised by Yoon Seung's knowledge. "Is that so? You certainly know a lot." The two of them fell silent and continued to look down below. Suddenly, the creatures rushed up and surrounded them, red flames flaring intensely around their bodies. The two stood in the middle as the flame spitters swirled around them like a vortex. Gi-ok quickly reached into his bag, and Yoon Seung watched with curiosity. He asked quietly, "Sir, I've been wondering, what's in that bag?" Gi-ok gazed into the distance and replied nonchalantly, "Oh, just this stuff." The monsters let out a piercing screech and then dived down all at once. He tossed a handful of brown powder directly at the swarm of flame spitters. The powder made contact with their wings. The flame spitters immediately burst into flames, writhing in agony. Caught off guard, the entire swarm was coated in the dark powder and became completely engulfed in flames. They growled in agony and began to fly erratically, as Gi-ok calmly said, "It's for moments like these." He watched them. "Quite effective," he noted. Seeing this, Yoon Seung asked shyly, "Sorry to ask in the middle of a hunt, but..." As he tossed more powder, Gi-ok replied, "It's fine. Go ahead and ask." He wondered why Gi-ok only used items, since he could catch C-rank monsters with his bare hands. Gi-ok sighed helplessly, wondering if the guy even bothered to read the license. What an idiot. He probably doesn't understand how low-level hunters fight since he's at the top of the food chain. There's no point in explaining. Gi-ok turned the question around, asking Yoon Seung if he had ever really thought about his awakening. Being able to lift a 1-ton truck, creating enough water to flood an entire area. It sounds powerful, but it wasn't gained through effort. He looked at the handful of brown powder, his voice low, and said it was all just random chance. What comes easily can also disappear just as easily. This kind of power is very unreliable. That's why I don't rely on my awakening. He acted tough on the outside, but Gi-ok was nervous on the inside, hoping the kid would actually believe his story. After hearing that, Yoon Seung was so stunned he couldn't say a word. Tears streamed down his face as he said, "You're right. I never thought about it that way. What comes easily can be lost just as quickly. How could I have believed it would last forever?" He truly admired that way of thinking. It made so much sense. Yoon Seung grew even more excited, saying that with the current trend of mutations increasing, perhaps in the future they wouldn't even be able to use skills in dungeons anymore. While I chose the easy path, you were thinking so far ahead. Gi-ok, that's truly admirable. He covered his mouth and suddenly froze. Wait a minute. Could it be? He mumbled that high-rank hunters usually sense things with their intuition. And just standing next to an S-rank hunter is intimidating. But standing next to you, I don't feel anything at all. It's like you're a fly. Giok froze, completely speechless. Huh. Did he just call the greatest mage? Anfauri, a fly. Yoon-sung's eyes lit up. If you're practicing controlling your power, does that mean you can control your mana too? I've never seen anyone do that before. Giok closed his eyes in defeat, thinking to himself that this guy was basically a caveman. So, the awakening rank is related to mana density. Whatever, I'll just go with that for now. It's probably not that far from the truth anyway. As they were leaving, he chirped. Hey, call me next time you go into a dungeon. Okay. Giok found it strange. Asking wasn't your debt already paid off. Yoon-seung scratched his head, explaining that he learned a lot from following Giok, but because of that, his team disbanded, and he's only been awakened for less than half a year. I lack experience, so it's dangerous to go alone. And as for forming a new team, well, you know how that goes. Giok thought for a moment. Perhaps the wound from his betrayal hadn't healed yet. After a moment of thought, he nodded, figuring he'd probably feel the same way in that situation. Giok replied, if you want to help, I won't stop you. But if we run into danger, I can't guarantee I'll be able to save you. You'll have to look out for yourself. I'm very weak, so if we get into a fight, I'll definitely lose. As for the golem incident, his answer was a bit rushed, but hearing this, Yoon-sung's eyes sparkled as he marveled at how humble Giok was. You think I'll get hurt if I let my guard down, by the way. How old are you? Giok asked in surprise. You want to know my age? His eyes lit up as he replied, yes. Yoon-sung said, I'm currently 22, but I got a second chance to graduate. He tilted his head, trying to remember. Wait a second. How old did Kim Giok say he was again? Yoon-sung suddenly remembered. Oh, I almost forgot. We should exchange phone numbers. Giok took out his ID card and held it out. Yoon-sung looked at it in surprise. 24 years old. Yoon-sung's eyes widened. You're only 2 years older than me. He quickly looked away. So I'm 24 already, Yoon-sung stammered. That's not what I meant. You just look really mature. Giok watched a group of college students walk by, realizing he had no memories of college himself. Giok scrolled through his phone. The contact list was filled with nothing but blank names. What kind of life had he even lived up until now? Giok's figure, standing silently, looked incredibly lonely. He seemed to fade into fragmented memories, as the air grew cold and heavy. According to the news, the number of mutated gates was increasing rapidly across the globe, and the Hunter Association had yet to find the cause. Even high-ranking investigators couldn't explain the phenomenon, causing public fear to grow daily. Chang-ho ran a hand through his hair. His expression was calm, but his gaze was as sharp as a blade. Yesterday, he had received a call from Ha Yoon-sung. Hey, you want to go check something out tomorrow? I've got priority passes for the new gate. Giok had replied coolly that he would go. Who could possibly refuse such a tempting offer? He was dying of curiosity. In South Korea, when a new gate appears, access is prohibited until an investigation team can verify it's safe. Today was the official opening day. Rumor had it that a strange plant could be found inside the gate. Giok thought it might be the key to restoring his mana. All he had to do was confirm there was a way to get to the plant, and then retreat. Looking down at the crowd below, Giok remarked on how packed it was, wondering if everyone planned on going inside. Someone in the crowd recognized Yoon-seung. He quickly replied, they're mostly reporters and onlookers, but it's still more crowded than I expected. A supercar suddenly sped towards them like a whirlwind. The car caught Giok's attention, and he turned his head to follow it. In the blink of an eye, the supercar had already sped past them and was accelerating away. The car came to a stop, and a door swung open. A man with purple hair stepped out, and all eyes in the crowd immediately turned towards him. A murmur went through the crowd. Kang Chang-ho. Why is he here? Giok glanced over and asked Yoon-seung. Who's that? Yoon-seung's face went pale. That's the S-rank hunter, Kang Chang-ho. Giok was confused. An S-rank. One of the top 3 hunters in South Korea. His gaze darkened as he seemed to be weighing something. He silently noted that the man's mana was stable, the mark of a rare genius on Earth. The man paused as if he felt a gaze directed at him. Chang-ho turned to face him, and the atmosphere immediately grew heavy. Giok kept a straight face. His eyes are so strange, Yoon Seung whispered, covering his mouth. I heard those are dragon's eyes, an extremely rare item. Seeing Chang Ho approach, Yoon Seung flinched slightly. Why is he coming this way? He stopped in front of them and asked, What's your name, Giok? Annoyed, answered dismissively. Excuse me. He repeated in a firm tone, Your name. Giok's expression changed slightly, but he still answered, Kim Giok. He continued in a dry voice, Hunter rank. Yoon Seung stepped forward to intervene. Greetings. Hunter Kang Chang Ho. This person is just helping me as a porter. If there's anything, he snapped. I'm not talking to you. Yoon Seung had no choice but to shrink back. As Giok said in an arrogant tone, F rank. Chang Ho crossed his arms, his lip curling in contempt. Really? Is that right? Giok remained calm, but a heavy feeling grew inside him. Could he see the hidden mana inside Kim Gi-gyu's body? Mana is simply an energy-generating organ. A refined respiratory system doesn't cause the total mana to decrease. A mage like Kang Chang Ho could read potential from the faintest signals, Giok said coldly. If you doubt me, I can show you my hunter's license. The man let out a dry laugh. Someone who dares to look an S-rank in the eye and claim to be an F-rank hunter. His tone softened. Hunter Kim Giok, if you would, Yoon Seung cut in. Giok, it's time to go. I just want to take a look. Shouldn't we get going before we're late? He snapped. The plan for today is to explore this place. He grabbed his arm. Let's go, quickly. Giok glanced back, his eyes filled with confusion. He was left behind in the crowd, standing silently alone. He immediately asked, You really don't know, Hunter Kang Chang. Ho, did you live abroad? Giok averted his gaze. I was away for a while. Yoon Seung grumbled. I don't like to gossip, but he has a bad reputation. Giok was skeptical. How so? He explained. He has a criminal record for assault. No one wants to enter a gate with an S-rank criminal, and he hasn't gotten any better recently. Giok was curious. What else? Yoon Seung held up 3 fingers. I have a cousin, Choi Jin, who is a number 3 A rank. She entered a gate with Kang Chang Ho and was attacked by him. I heard he only targets strong people. Giok covered his mouth and sighed to himself. So you pulled me away because you were afraid that S-rank psycho would cause trouble. What a thoughtful little mammal. After a moment of thought, Giok said, All right, let's head back. We can check on that hidden plant species later. He was silent for a few seconds, his gaze calculating. Giok lowered his voice. Hey Yoon Seung, you said earlier that Chang Ho's eyes were like a dragon's eye. Right. Does that mean it can be traded? Just like your shield. He rubbed his chin and answered confidently. Yes, the first time he had it. It was a small orb. He probably swallows it to use it. He asked again. Is there anything like dragon's lungs? Yoon Seung replied quickly. Let me check. After searching, he said. I can only find the transaction records. The lungs are a rare item that appeared late. Giok leaned in and asked, Why are they so rare? How much do they cost? He continued searching. The lungs don't increase mana like the eyes or heart, and the liver can be used to make potions, so the lungs are useless. Ah, here it is. It's Chup, 2.6 billion won. Giok nodded, not quite understanding. 2.6. Then he froze. Wait, what did you say? 2.6 billion. Yoon Seung was still excited. That's really cheap. You couldn't buy the other parts no matter how much you offered. Giok teared up. I really shouldn't have asked. The taxi rolled down a deserted road. The scenery was breathtakingly silent. Giok was looking at Kang Chang Ho's profile on his phone. He stared at the screen in silence. The more he read, the more dangerous he seemed. Letting this guy walk free is just insane. What if he wants to fight? Would I even survive? A familiar supercar suddenly started tailgating the taxi. Then it accelerated and slammed right into the back of the car. The impact made the car swerve, and Giok was startled before he could even understand what was happening. The driver quickly tried to swerve away, but the other car stayed right on them. The taxi crashed hard into a utility pole on the side of the road. Giok didn't even realize when he had been thrown from his seat. The panicked driver looked back and asked, Oh no, are you okay? Giok's face was pale. His whole body had slipped down in the seat, but he still managed to answer. Yes. The furious driver got out, pointed at the supercar and yelled, "You lunatic! Don't you know how to drive? Get out here right now." The man stepped out, his voice soft. "I'm sincerely sorry. I haven't driven in a while, so I mixed up the gas and the brake pedals." Leaning against the car, Giok suddenly called out his name, Kang Chang-ho. He held up his phone, his tone pleading. "Hello, Kim Gi-ok, the F-rank hunter. Could I please get your contact information?" Gi-ok's expression didn't change. This guy must be crazy. "Why would he ram someone on a deserted road?" the driver interjected with a trembling voice. "Hunter Kang Chang-ho. You have to pay for the car repairs." He immediately pulled out a wad of cash and handed it over. "Here, take it." Giok stared at the stack of money, unable to tell how much it was. As the driver bowed his head and thanked him profusely, he held out his phone and said, "You should save my number. I'm out of cash right now, so we can deal with the medical bills later." Giok thought for a moment, wondering what kind of compensation this was. He only wanted his number, but he gave it to him anyway. "Here you go." As soon as he got the number, Chang-ho immediately stared intently at the screen. He was the only son of a major corporation's chairman, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But he had once been imprisoned for assault despite hiring the best lawyers. The internet was filled with accusations of him abusing other people. But the bigger story was that his parents had died a few years ago during a monster outbreak. Right after that, he sold off all his shares and dissolved the family company. Rumor has it that he took advantage of the chaotic awakening period to engage in some illegal activities. Giok glanced at him. There was still no proof. He turned and said, "Are you working as a porter today too? That's surprising, for someone like you to be doing manual labor." Chang-ho leaned against the car. "I know a few jobs that pay better." He smirked deviously, his eyes revealing his calculating nature. "Want to hear about them?" Giok looked at him, thinking about the high-paying job, then replied coldly, "It can't hurt to listen." Hearing that, he immediately said, "Stop working for An Yoon-sung and come work for me. I'll give you 80% of the items and profits earned from the gates." Giok wavered for a moment, wondering if he was testing him with that ridiculous offer. Perhaps he had seen the mana within Kim Ki-ryo's body, which might even surpass S-rank. "If I can harness this magic, I could dominate the entire planet." Giok crossed his arms, feigning indifference. "I'm not capable of entering an S-rank gate, so I'm not sure I can do the job for you." Chang-ho was stunned. S-rank. They wouldn't throw an F-rank hunter into a high-level gate. Giok looked at him. "You approached me after seeing my awakening potential." Chang-ho froze. "Awakening potential? What are you talking about? You're an F-rank. I was planning to train you directly. In other words, I want to be your sponsor." Giok scratched his neck awkwardly. "Oh, I see. What I said was a bit strange because I was mistaken." His face turned bright red. Chang-ho smiled at him. "I'll take that as a yes then." Giok held up a hand to stop him. "Wait a minute. What exactly do you see in me to make such an offer?" He just laughed, a sinister smile spreading across his face. Chang-ho looked at him with great interest, replying as if he were giving a compliment. Giok thought in frustration, "Damn it, Yoon-sung, I really miss you right now." In a certain building, a startled voice exclaimed, "A car accident with Kang Chang-ho." Giok calmly recounted the event to Yoon-sung. "I told him we met and then I left, but thinking back, it feels like he caused the accident on purpose." Yoon-sung nodded in agreement. "That's right. He only targets strong hunters. I probably avoided trouble thanks to you. Even an A rank isn't safe." Giok popped a candy into his mouth. "Is that so?" Yoon-sung's eyes sparkled. "With a hunter like you by my side, I'll be less conspicuous. And if Chang-ho tries anything, you'll—" Giok wasn't paying attention. His mind was racing. Should he call the police? What would he even say? He imagined telling the police that an S-rank hunter promised to protect him and gave him an item. Giok sighed and shook his head. "Forget it. It's useless." Suddenly, Yoon-sung asked, "Oh, right. Kiryo, did you watch TV this morning? Last year, South Korea ranked second in efficient gate management, even though mutations are still a serious problem. The damage has clearly decreased. The news said humans are close to controlling these things called Gates. Ji-ok glanced over, thinking this guy sure knows how to pick a topic. The concept of gates intrigued him. It was like a simulation of his own experiences. One day in 2017, a strange phenomenon occurred simultaneously. Gates and monsters, and also the awakened. Magic is drawn from the planet's core. Unlike Anfari, Earth is mostly rock, making it hard to generate more mana, but the gates act like wells, siphoning mana, and some people who came into contact with it awakened. However, our understanding of the gates is still very limited. The people of Earth don't extract mana from deep within. Inside the gates are only hostile monsters. They're not like Anfari's technology, or Earth's. He didn't know what they were. Yoon-seung called out repeatedly, "Hey! Hey! Hey, are you okay?" He heard him, as if snapping out of a trance. "Huh, sorry, I spaced out for a moment." He asked curiously, "What were you thinking about?" Gi-ok looked at him. "I was imagining what I would do if I were the one who created the gates." "Something about the situation in Korea feels off," the boy asked. "What's off about it?" Gi-ok said calmly, "Whatever their purpose is. The monsters inside the gate still want to kill us. The items are like cheese scattered on a mousetrap. But what if the mouse learns how to just take the cheese? They would probably be very angry." Yoon-seung seemed to have a realization. "Now that you mention it, that's true." Suddenly, Gi-ok froze. The energy beneath his feet started boiling like lava. He looked down, very slowly and calmly. Yoon-seung was a little worried. "Hey, what's wrong?" Gi-ok immediately realized it. "Damn it, it's mana," he screamed. "On Yoon-seung." Yoon-seung panicked. "What the hell is this?" "Hey." Gi-ok was sucked into the stream of mana, cursing under his breath. "Damn it." Wong also thought to himself, he's been sucked away. A moment later, Gi-ok opened his eyes, looking dazed. He glanced around, his face filled with surprise. He stood in the middle of a narrow passage, with no one around. Gi-ok looked around cautiously. "Is this inside the gate? The worst thing would be to encounter a monster in a dead end. I have to get out of here right away. This body can't use magic. How am I supposed to survive?" Gi-ok suddenly noticed a strange object. He looked at the stone statue in front of him with suspicion and asked, "Where is this?" A stone tablet with characters engraved on it. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed, putting him on high alert. Gi-ok jumped up, spotting a figure approaching. From the opposite direction, another person was also drawing near. Chang-ho's eyes widened. "Huh." Kim Ki-ryo. Gi-ok was also startled. Kang Chang-ho. "Who is that person? How did it end up like this?" Chang-ho smiled and greeted the newcomer. "Oh, Jong Ha-seong. I thought you were in Singapore," the other man replied. "I just got back today." Gi-ok watched the scene, even more confused. "These two aren't close at all," he asked cautiously. "Do you two know each other?" Both of them turned around in surprise. Chang-ho looked at him in surprise. "Kim Ki-ryo?" "You don't know," Ha-seong. Gi-ok sighed. "I've only been on Earth for 2 weeks. How would I know?" Seeing his expression, he teased Ha-seong. "See, he really doesn't know you. You should work harder. I didn't know who you were at first either." "You idiot." Gi-ok broke out in a sweat. "Who on earth is this guy?" Chang-ho quickly introduced him. Jong Ha-seong, South Korea's #1 hunter. Gi-ok was stunned. "Oh crap, he's scarier than I thought." Chang-ho's voice continued steadily in his ear. "People call him the national hero. It's okay if you don't know. Jong Ha-seong. This is Kim Ki-ryo, an F-rank hunter." Gi-ok awkwardly greeted. "Hello." Jong Ha-seong nodded. "Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you, Kim Ki-ryo." After hearing that, Gi-ok thought to himself, "Why is he staring at me like that?" Jong tapped his watch and asked quickly, "Were you two also suddenly dragged in here?" Gi-ok's eyes were glued to the watch. "An analyzer. I didn't expect it to look so cool." Jong's voice rang out. "That's right, this is definitely inside a gate." The screen displayed, "Unidentified gate, no information." He mumbled, "An S rank? This is trouble." Gi-ok wondered, "What's an X rank?" Chang-ho snapped, holding up his phone. "We came in here completely unprepared. It'll be a pain if we don't get out quickly." Jong looked at the stone tablet and said, "There's writing on it. The symbol of faith will be the key. This is an important clue for the gate. It seems the only way out is to go through this gate." He immediately placed his hand on the gate. Then, he pushed with all his might. Chang Ho calmly said it wouldn't budge. Zhang turned to him and asked, "Hunter Kang, Chang Ho, give me a hand." He looked bewildered. "Me." He was sweating as he looked at him. "I can't open it with my strength alone." He sighed and waved his hand dismissively. "I guess there's no other way." He stepped forward to help Zhang Haseong. Zhang glanced over, giving him a signal with his eyes. Chang Ho immediately responded with a look of his own. Zhang gathered his strength and pushed hard against the door. Both of them put all their strength into opening the door. Chang Ho stared intently at the door. Without hesitation, he immediately launched a mana strike at the door. Giok watched them with wide, unblinking eyes. Among those who could wield mana, S-rank hunters were always special. They were an extremely rare group, possessing bizarre and superior abilities. And yet, these two couldn't even open a single door. Chang Ho panted with exhaustion. "Just as I thought. We can't break it with brute force." Giok calmly turned around, as if he had figured something out. "There's no other option but this." He also followed behind him, lost in thought. He looked skeptically at the statue of the lion with its mouth open, but its mouth is like a hole, big enough to fit an entire arm into. Hearing that, Zhang Haseong fell silent, and Giok's expression grew heavy. "It can't be. But if we don't open the door, we'll all be trapped here and run out of food." Giok froze when he saw Zhang Haseong approach the statue. He calmly put his hand into the stone lion's mouth. The other two watched, waiting for the door to react. Finally, the door creaked open, and someone cried out, "It's open." Giok immediately looked at Haseong and asked, "Zhang Haseong, is something wrong?" On his arm, 2 small holes were bleeding continuously. He held up his arm and admitted, "I've lost some blood." Giok was startled. "What did you just say?" Haseong quickly explained, "I was in shock. I tried to pull my hand out, but it wouldn't move, and at that moment I thought I might have to lose my arm." Chang Ho didn't seem to care, turning away to say, "Is that so? Anyway, the door's open now. Let's go." Giok's face grew darker as a bad feeling washed over him. "Is this going to be okay?" The 3 of them slowly stepped through the doorway. Chang Ho frowned in annoyance at the sight before him. Damn it, not again. Another lion statue appeared before them. Haseong rubbed his wound and immediately stepped forward. There was no time to hesitate. He once again placed his hand inside the lion's mouth. Then, clutching his bleeding arm, he pressed forward. "Let's go." A short while later, they came to a halt once more. Chang Ho stared in disbelief at yet another lion statue. Giok wiped the sweat from his brow. "So, all we have to do is put a hand in the statue's mouth to open the door. Is that really it?" Haseong turned to Chang Ho. "Hunter Kang Chang Ho, it's your turn to open this door," Chang Ho asked in surprise. "Huh, why me?" Haseong calmly replied. "The amount of blood it's taking has changed. The first one was fine, but the second one made me dizzy. In dungeons like this, the requirements tend to escalate. So we should take turns." Chang Ho stared at him intently. "Well, you've been doing a good job so far. Why don't you just see it through to the end?" Haseong shot him a cold glare. "Are you refusing to cooperate?" Chang Ho replied with a smirk. "Are you unaware of my rank as a hunter?" Haseong retorted in frustration. "I don't care. I'll say it again. Hunter Kang Chang Ho, you need to cooperate." Chang Ho put his hands on his hips, his voice laced with defiance. "And what if I refuse?" Giok broke into a cold sweat as he watched them. Are they really about to fight? He raised a hand to stop them, but Haseong continued his explanation. "If this pattern continues and it becomes my turn again, I'll be completely drained of blood. Won't I?" Chang Ho shot back. "At the very least, I should get to choose when my turn is. That way, no one feels like they're being cheated. Don't you think so?" Giok flinched at being mentioned. He's dragging my name into this again. Damn it. Subgates have about a 60% survival rate. Even without monsters, they're still dangerous. This labyrinth requires a blood offering to proceed, and the opening is just large enough to fit a single arm. In other words, for us to pass, someone has to be the sacrifice. We're so screwed. Zhang Haseong gave Chang Ho a dry smile. "Are you seriously trying to dump this on an F-rank hunter when there are 2 S-ranks right here? How ridiculous." Suddenly, he froze, as if he'd heard something. The strange sound immediately caught the attention of all three men. A monster slowly began to emerge. A massive wolf with razor-sharp claws growled as it approached them. Giok stammered in shock. What the hell is that? There isn't supposed to be anything in here." The grim wolf bared its sharp fangs. It lunged at Giok in a frenzy. Without a moment's hesitation, he raised his arm to block, preparing to take the hit head-on. Just then, Jong Hasong unleashed a blast of mana that shot straight toward the wolf. He finished it off with an incredibly powerful strike before it could even touch Giok. The mana flared brilliantly, illuminating the entire area. Giok stood there, stunned, staring at Hasong as a thought echoed in his mind. Is this the magic of a primordial mage? If that's the case, his power is incredible. Standing in the corner, Chang-ho sighed. To think he can still fight after being drained like that. Suddenly, Giok was startled, his gaze snapping to the area behind Chang-ho. Another wolf was charging straight for him. Giok panicked, his eyes widening in terror. He screamed as he saw it pounce. "Kang Chang-ho, look out behind you." He whipped his head around in an instant. The wolf filled his vision. He ended it instantly, without a moment's hesitation. Giok thought in awe. He's terrifyingly strong. Chang-ho's skill is physical enhancement. Chang-ho clenched his fist and said, "It's weaker than I thought. Must be just a C rank." "Don't relax just yet," Jong Hasong replied coolly. "Look over there." More wolves began to emerge, phasing right through the walls. Their sharp claws and massive bodies came into view. The entire pack roared before charging toward the three of them. One after another, they lunged forward with aggressive glares. They advanced without hesitation, their steady steps filled with murderous intent. The three of them were completely surrounded, with no escape route. The pack of wolves watched their every move intently. Jong Hasong glanced at the pack. They're not high-level monsters, but their numbers are a pain. "Kang Chang-ho, cover my back." Chang-ho scoffed. "Just worry about yourself." The pack of monsters charged straight at them. Jong Hasong settled into a fighting stance. His gaze sharpened as he prepared to launch the first attack. Chang-ho immediately raised his hands, preparing to confront the pack of wolves. Jong Hasong unleashed a continuous barrage of attacks without rest. The wolves grew more ferocious, as if they had completely lost control. A cold glint appeared in Chang-ho's eyes as he observed the pack of monsters. He immediately launched a powerful mana strike in retaliation. The blow wiped out a large number of the monsters. Seeing their comrades fall, the wolves howled and charged in with even greater fury. Jong Hasong remained calm in the face of it all, completely unfazed. He unleashed another series of mana attacks, taking down many more of them. Giok was still stunned by the fierce battle. He marveled to himself, those two S-rank hunters are truly terrifying. As Jong Hasong fought, he thought, there are more of them than I expected, and losing blood is draining my strength. At this rate, I won't be able to hold out for much longer. He stared intently at the haunting, open-mouthed lion statue. Suddenly, he paused, as if he had just realized something. He muttered, "I see," as a monster lunged at him from behind. Jong powerfully pivoted on his foot to build momentum. Then he unleashed an incredibly powerful mana blast that obliterated the wolf. After the attack, the look in his eyes changed. "So that's how it is." Giok broke out in a cold sweat. "These two are absolute monsters. Are S-rank hunters really this strong? They kill monsters in the blink of an eye. Even with magic, conquering Earth won't be easy." "Kim Kiryo, look over there." The eyes of the lion statue are glowing. This must be the gate. It seems that offering blood for long enough activates a new wave of monsters. Another large wolf emerged from the wall. Giok recoiled in horror when he saw it. Jong was still lost in thought, but Giok's shout rang in his ear. Jong Hasong. Startled back to his senses, he immediately looked behind him. Then he instantly fired a mana blast at the monster. His sword struck its throat, a perfect hit. He watched it collapse and said, "So it begins now." Chang-ho also chimed in. "There's a time limit." Another wave of wolves suddenly descended upon them like a storm. Giok was completely frozen in the face of that onslaught. Jong shouted out a warning, "Kim Kiryo." Chang-ho kept his gaze fixed on the lion statue in the distance. He charged forward at incredible speed, without a moment's hesitation. Meanwhile, Jong swiftly took care of 7 more monsters. Chang Ho, on the other hand, gritted his teeth and shoved his hand into the lion statue's mouth. The moment he put his hand in, the lion statue's eyes immediately began to glow a fiery red. Chang Ho's eyes were glued to the stone statue, staring at it intently. Suddenly, the monsters surrounding them vanished in an instant. The gate before the three of them slowly began to open. Giok was stunned by how quickly he'd cooperated. Chang Ho turned around and asked who was next. Jong Ha-sung replied, "Let's switch." No one was sure if a single person could carry them all. Giok watched him, thinking, so this is why they call him the nation's hero. Realizing he was just a low level, he had removed himself from the danger zone to stay safe from the monsters. As a result, the team could advance without him shedding a single drop of blood. Still, he couldn't help but feel a little guilty. The three of them continued to push deeper into the dark tunnel. Jong Ha-sung trudged along wearily, his breathing growing heavy as sweat poured down his face. Giok asked quickly with concern, "Jong Ha-sung, are you okay?" He replied weakly, "I'm fine. These gates are just minor ones. We must be close to the exit." But Giok looked closer and saw his face had turned pale. When it was Kang Chang-ho's turn to open the gate, he called out, "Jong Ha-sung, let's stop for a moment." Jong Ha-sung paused and asked, "What is it?" Kang Chang-ho sounded doubtful. "No one's sure the exit is behind this gate, and everyone's on edge. We might have missed a clue. Let's go back and check the previous rooms again." Hearing this, Jong Ha-sung became annoyed. "You're just stalling, aren't you? You just cleared an X-rank gate. The procedure has to follow the exact conditions. You know that. Or are you waiting for a monster to attack so you can ambush me? Just like what happened with Choi Jin, I'm not dragging this out. Open the gate." Chang Ho chuckled reassuringly. All right, I'll open it. Don't be so tense. I never said I wouldn't support the strategy. Besides, you've got it all wrong. What happened to Choi Jin was a genuine accident. I'm not some psycho who attacks his teammates for no reason. I have a criminal record, so I understand why you're suspicious of me. But Jong Ha-sung, you're being paranoid. You're just rushing this decision because you want to get out of here quickly. Right. I'll open it, but you should think carefully. Even if it were your turn, I'd still want to go back and check first. Giok looked at him, realizing his words made more sense than he had expected. It turns out the rumors were just rumors after all. Suddenly, Chang Ho cried out in pain and was forced to pull his hand from the statue. Jong Ha-sung asked, "Are you okay?" "Kang Chang Ho," he replied calmly. "Don't worry, I have a recovery potion. After I drink it, I can open a few more." Hearing that, Jong Ha-sung told him, "Just push a little deeper. If the next room doesn't have an exit, we'll figure out another way." Giok watched Chang Ho take out a glass vial, thinking, I might have to help him out. But then he froze when he saw what Chang Ho did next. Chang Ho suddenly raised the large vial and slammed it hard against the back of Jong Ha-sung's neck. The glass vial shattered, and Jong Ha-sung was stunned instantly. He collapsed to the ground, still unable to believe what had just happened. A chill ran down Giok's spine at Chang Ho's brutal act. Chang Ho looked down at the collapsed Jong Ha-sung and said in a low voice, "So it even works on an S rank." Giok's face went pale as he thought. A recovery potion. It was all a lie. He demanded, "Kang Chang Ho, what are you doing?" Kang Chang Ho glanced back at him. "Giok, have you ever heard of the gate called the Iron Maiden of the North? This dungeon is similar. A hunter must be sacrificed in order to escape." Giok was stunned, realizing he intended to sacrifice Jong Ha-sung. Chang Ho continued, "With the dungeon's current difficulty, the survival rate is only 60%, regardless of rank. That number is too low to bet our lives on. I just want to increase our chances." Giok thought quickly. Logically, it made sense. If this place required a life, there had to be a sacrifice. It would be best if it were Kang Chang Ho or Jong Ha-sung, but he had no say in the matter. Perhaps he should just go along with this S-rank hunter's plan. But forcing an F-rank hunter when there were 2 S-ranks here felt wrong. As Chang Ho was about to put Jong Ha-sung's hand into the stone lion's mouth, Giok suddenly spoke up. "Wait, I'll open the gate, so put Jong Ha-sung down." Chang Ho sneered. "What? You came to your senses? You should have just stayed still while others were falling. I will guarantee that you survive." Giok broke out in a cold sweat. thinking. I have no room to negotiate. How can I save Jong Ha-sung? Meanwhile, Chang-ho calculated that with the stone lion's blood-draining ability, the trial would soon be over. Before long, a gate opened, and a brilliant white light shone directly on them. The three of them were stunned, and they walked toward the gate. Right in the middle of the room, they found a statue of a goddess. Chang-ho spoke with suspicion. Is this the exit? Giok's eyes widened. Is it really over? Was it that simple? Chang-ho still couldn't believe it, muttering to himself, it can't be, but the Iron Maiden has appeared. The dungeon is over. The stone statue of the goddess was holding a glowing object, and its light grew even brighter. Chang-ho chuckled, berating himself. I must have been going crazy. I was supposed to sacrifice a living tree, but I chose Jong Ha-sung instead. It'll be a pain if he wakes up and starts complaining. Giok interrupted him. There's a reward inside the fountain. He took the golden bracelet from the goddess statue's hand. He stared intently at the bracelet. It's a magical item. Giok turned to Chang-ho and said, when Jong Ha-sung wakes up, maybe you should use this to apologize. Chang-ho cut in. Picking a fight with the strongest hunter isn't something that's easily forgiven. The association will definitely not let this slide. Or perhaps we should just sacrifice him after all. We're still inside the gate anyway. Should I just do it now? Giok was horrified. What? Chang-ho's smile grew more sinister. When the gate closes, the body will disappear too. The only problem is the witness. There's no reason for me to hide the fact that I killed Ha-seong. Startled, Giok asked, are you planning to kill me too? He gave a faint smile. What are you talking about? Why would I kill you? I just need you to do one small thing for me. His hand quickly landed on Giok's shoulder. Chang-ho looked at him, his eyes filled with cunning. Can you say that you were the one who took down Jong Ha-sung? Around them, the atmosphere was still heavy with destruction. Chang-ho stood on the head of the dragon he had just defeated. The item that dropped was a dragon's eye, a rare item from an A-rank monster. That eye had a strange green hue, with many special abilities. The moment he put it on, its effects activated instantly. His long-distance vision became crystal clear, and his magic grew stronger. The flow of blue mana within everyone's bodies became distinctly visible. Not only that, but it also allowed him to gauge the awakening level of others with his naked eye. He thought to himself, with this eye, I don't even need to squint. But when he looked at Chang-ho, the man's face seemed troubled. Did I see that wrong? He carefully observed the mana flow around Giok. The magic was strange, and the amount of magical power was not large. But who knew? This could be the very skill that hunters all over the world coveted. He then asked him directly, what's your name? Giok answered without hesitation, Kim Giok. Chang-ho then asked about his rank. He still answered truthfully, F rank. Chang-ho's dragon's eye darkened, and he muttered, a lie, in his eyes. Giok appeared calm yet incomprehensible. An F-ranker dares to look me straight in the eye. To ordinary people, or low-rankers, a high-rank hunter looks no different from a giant monster. It had been a long time since Kang Chang-ho had been in a convenience store, and Kim Giok, the F-rank hunter, was no ordinary person. Out of curiosity, he had tried to provoke Kim Giok before. First, by ramming into his car, despite knowing it could easily cause an accident. Then, by making a lucrative offer of hundreds of millions to test his reaction. But after all that, Chang-ho only learned one thing: Giok remained indifferent to everything. He was so different from what Chang-ho had imagined, daring to ignore even an S-rank hunter, and that very fact made him interesting. So his recent attitude certainly didn't bother him. Now, he made a proposal. Just say that you were the one who took down Jong Ha-sung. Chang-ho pressed on. Even if Jong Ha-sung remembered what happened, it would be hard for him to argue. The word of a raider is always given priority. He gripped his shoulder tighter, emphasizing every word. You only need to say one thing. Giok slowly looked down at his hand, trying to keep Jong Ha-sung calm amidst the tension. As soon as he finished speaking, Giok asked back, and what if I refuse? Chang-ho just smiled. Well then, I can't go down alone, can I? His eyes flashed as the dragon's eye activated. Actually, I can handle Jong Ha-sung myself. Giok stood silently with a cold expression. So he asked, Kim Giok, what is the ability you're hiding? He reasoned to himself. If he was really hiding something, He would have reacted by now, but this response surprised him. Fine then. Giok coldly offered a solution. I just need to spread the word that I was the one who knocked out Jong Ha-sung. Chang-ho was stunned. What? It's that simple? He scrutinized the other man's face and saw no fear, which meant he didn't agree out of fear. Suddenly, his eyes widened as he realized it might be to avoid conflict. Chang-ho immediately shifted his line of thinking, recalling how he'd said he couldn't enter S-rank gates anymore, which meant he must have been able to before. That thought put him on high alert. Kim Giok might be a high-ranking veteran awakened being, and if he was deliberately concealing his abilities, not even he could see through it. He crossed his arms, calm on the outside, but thought to himself, do I really need to stoop to an F0 level? He wanted to probe further, but decided against it. Having already thought it through, then he turned to leave, thinking, all right, I need to get out of this damn dungeon first. After he left, Gung clenched his fist and cursed under his breath. Damn it. Then, overjoyed, he followed Chang-ho out of there, finally free at last, and so they returned to the surface. Emerging under the vast blue sky, they were finally out. But the first thing Giok saw was a massive crowd of reporters, buzzing that the hunters had finally emerged from the third exit. He was bewildered, wondering why there were so many people, before he could process anything. The reporters swarmed him like a storm, cameras flashing. They bombarded him with questions. Congratulations on surviving. What kind of gate was it? What were the monsters like? Did anyone else make it out alive? A reporter shoved a microphone toward Giok and asked, how many hunters entered the gate with you? The question made Giok freeze, catching him completely by surprise. Only then did he look around, realizing all the exits must have converged at this single point. But the reporters suddenly fell silent because of what happened next. Chang-ho and Jong Ha-sung appeared, two S-rank hunters emerging at the same time. A voice from the crowd cried out in astonishment. But wait, as expected, the crowd erupted in a single question. Why is Jong Ha-sung unconscious? Du Yang approached him, saying quickly, Hunter Kang Chang-ho, we have a few questions for you. He asked in return, are you from the association? She nodded and confirmed that she was. She got straight to the point. We have many questions, but first of all, why is Jong Ha-sung unconscious? Hearing this, he glanced away and said, oh, that. Du Yang asked skeptically. Did he fall for some kind of trick inside the gate? Chang-ho immediately denied it. No, there was a conflict over who should be sacrificed. Then he pointed at Giok and said, so that guy is the one who knocked out Jong Ha-sung. Giok could only curse to himself. We just got out of the dungeon and he's already fabricating stories. But his words left Du Yang stunned. What did you just say? She demanded. Be clear. How could South Korea's #1 hunter be taken down by someone I've never even heard of? Giok silently nodded in approval. At least the person from the association knows how to think. At that moment, Du Yang demanded, stop lying, Kang Chang-ho, and tell the truth. Chang-ho's expression turned cold when he was doubted, and Du Yang pressed on. Wasn't it you who did that to Jong Ha-sung? Suddenly, he curled his lips into a sinister smile and said, hey. He shot a warning glance at Giok. Why are you so quiet? Not saying a single word, forced into a corner. Giok could only let out a weary sigh, realizing he had no other choice. He finally spoke up, drawing everyone's attention. Well, you see, Giok coldly admitted, I am the one who defeated Hunter Jong Ha-sung. As soon as those words left his mouth, Du Yang was struck completely speechless. As for the reporters all around them, some stood with their jaws agape, while others turned pale as if they had seen a ghost. While everyone was on edge, Chang-ho was smirking to himself, looking extremely satisfied. Giok quickly added, I didn't hurt him. I just put him to sleep for a bit to make the raid go smoothly. I'll apologize to Jong Ha-sung myself when he wakes up. Ju. Young was utterly bewildered. If it wasn't an S-rank hunter, then, Chang-ho stated firmly, I already told you, it wasn't me. Suddenly, his words were cut short as his face contorted in pain, and sweat poured down relentlessly. The sight made Ju Young panic, and she cried out, Kang Chang-ho. He gasped for breath. turning back to press her. You didn't see her? Ju. Young lowered her head as if at fault. Do I look like someone who could do anything to Hashong? Giok, standing nearby, observed closely. Kang Chang-ho had lost a lot of blood in there. He thought it wasn't serious, but it turns out he was just putting on a brave face. In the midst of the tense atmosphere, Song-in's voice cut through the gloom. Wait a minute. In that case, cameras and questions immediately turned to Giok. Did you really do that to Jong Hashong? You're the one who knocked him out. You took down an S-rank hunter. A barrage of microphones was pointed at Giok, everyone waiting for a confirmation. Giok's lips moved slightly, and he opened his mouth very slowly to answer. His face was like ice, and without a hint of hesitation, he said, Yes, I did it. A few days later, someone was crumpling a newspaper article about the incident in their hands. Jong Hashong had woken up, but he was in a terrible state of mind after hearing the news. Yoon Sung called out, Hey, I read the article this morning before it was taken down. Is it true that you took down Jong Hashong? Giok replied, Oh, that. He thought to himself, so that's why he wanted to see me today? Giok said calmly, Yeah, you could say that. Yoon Sung was stunned. He asked Han, You were stuck at Subgate 2. Are you okay? Han replied cheerfully, Thanks to you pushing me out in time, I'm fine. Before he could finish, Giok's phone suddenly started ringing. The phone rang incessantly. He said, Hold on a second, I've got a call. Giok answered the phone. Hello? He thought to himself. Who is this? The person on the other end asked. Is this Hunter Kim Ki-ryeo's number? This is Jong Hashong. Hearing the name, Giok was startled. He quickly replied, Ah, yes, Yoon Sung. You go ahead and eat first. Giok remembered that he had left his number to apologize in person. But how should he apologize? Should he do a video call and bow? The person on the other end said, I have a few things I want to ask about yesterday. In a room somewhere, the person on the other end said, At the gate. Are you the one who knocked me unconscious? Giok started to feel suspicious. Something wasn't right. The voice on the phone continued, I passed out suddenly that day, so I don't remember anything at all. I suspect Kang Chang-ho did it, but I'm not sure yet. Giok started to understand, according to him. Jong Hashong remembered being hit from behind. The crucial part was what he saw when he turned around. Jong Hashong asked, Can you explain? That Giok grew worried, thinking, I'm screwed. An S-rank hunter is questioning me, and strange rumors are spreading non-stop. Should I tell him the truth? That Kang Chang-ho forced me to do it. But why would Jong Hashong believe me? Giok thought to himself. I only found this out after my own thorough investigation. The reason Hashong is called a national hero is because of the sheer number of gates he has cleared, he thought. In other words, this guy only cares about clearing gates, so would he even pay attention to an F-rank like me? Besides, could he even stand up to Chang-ho? Giok said, I'm sorry, Jong Hashong. I admit I was the one who knocked you out, leaving Jong Hashong stunned in shock. He continued, I was afraid you couldn't handle the situation. So I did what I had to. My plan was to risk my own life while you were unconscious. I have something to give you as an apology. It's a reward item from clearing the dungeon, he asked. Are you kidding me? Giok replied. What do you mean? Jong Hashong said. This was something you could have just talked about. But you think some small item can fix it? What you did was unforgivable. You took me down inside the gate, so your intentions were obvious. You planned to sacrifice me to escape. On top of that, Chang-ho knows you. You two were on the same side from the start, weren't you? Giok said. You've got it all wrong. Jong Hashong stood up wearily and then said, And as for you, are you really an F-rank hunter? He gripped his phone tightly, his face filled with frustration. Giok started to say there was something else, but he cut him off immediately. That's enough. Talking more is just a waste of time. Jong Hashong warned. From now on, I will be watching you, he replied. No. Giok continued to plead earnestly. Jong Hashong, please wait. Jong Hashong sighed. Sorry to keep you waiting, Majan said. It's no problem. Here's the information you requested. The S-rank hunter from the Hashong Guild returned in an unconscious state. She added, The guild handled it immediately, so all the news articles have been taken down. There were a lot of wild comments online, saying he was knocked out by another hunter and that the national hero had become a laughingstock. But Jong Hashong's skills are no joke. Mijan tried to stop him. You don't need to read all of this, Jong Hashong said softly. even if the articles are gone. The public already knows. The whole world has realized that S-rank hunters aren't invincible. People are starting to worry, she said. In my opinion, Kang Chang-ho is the one behind all this. I've investigated him, and just as you said, he is indeed registered as an F-rank hunter. He replied, That's what I thought too. But something is wrong. If Kang Chang-ho were really just an F-rank, he wouldn't have left me alive. Why would he need to force an F-rank to confess he could just kill him and be done with it? Jung Ha-seong thought. But there was something more important. Kim Ki-ryo's eyes looked at me as if he was picturing my demise. That gaze wasn't like looking at a person, but at a worthless object, so cold it was unsettling. Since my awakening, no one has made me this uncomfortable, he muttered, just as I thought. There's a high chance his rank was faked. Report it to the association immediately. Mijan panicked. This can't be happening, Jung Ha-seong said. I will request a re-evaluation of Kim Ki-ryo's awakening rank. Skills are the special abilities of the awakened. Every person gains one skill upon their awakening. However, magic on this planet is still bound by many limitations. Mages can only use the type of magic they received upon awakening. For example, in Ha-seong's case, no matter how much she trains, she can't learn other types of magic. If they want to use more, they must pay a price to acquire skill stones. But I'm different. I am a reincarnated soul who truly understands magic. In theory, I can use any skill as long as I meet the conditions. I really am a genius, he thought arrogantly. Giok understood clearly that he couldn't show off right now. The recent incident had already attracted the attention of an S-rank hunter. So I secretly researched and finally figured out how to use magical artifacts for enhancement. My body is weak, so my mana doesn't circulate properly, but since I can still breathe, I can control a little bit of it to activate the artifacts. But as for the materials to craft these magical artifacts, he thought of the Korean Magic Tower, so they're the ones guarding that gate. A voice called out, Hey! Lee Yoon stepped out and asked, You were here yesterday and now you're back again. You need an appointment to get in. So don't block the door, Giok replied. But I do have an appointment today. He sneered. An appointment? That's hilarious. An F-rank like you, Giok thought to himself. F-ranks are people too, you know. Lee Yoon scoffed. You just got kicked out and you're still claiming to have an appointment. Stop making things up and get lost. This guy is really unbearable, Giok thought. A voice called out, Sir, causing both Giok and Lee Yoon to whip their heads around. Yoon Sung ran up, panting. I'm sorry I'm late. The company had an urgent matter. They said it would be quick. Giok replied, It's fine. I was the one who asked you to come. I didn't know who else to ask, Yoon Sung said. It's no problem at all. I was free anyway. Lee Yoon was surprised. Hunter Yoon Sung. I've been following your career. Hunter An Yoon Sung. I heard you were the one who discovered the recent dungeon break. I'm a huge fan. Yoon Sung gave an embarrassed laugh. He asked, So what brings you here? Yoon Sung replied. I've already reported to the guild. I need to meet with a representative from the Magic Tower, Lee Yoon said. Is that so? I'm not sure if the Tower Master is in, Yoon Sung replied. She's the one who scheduled the appointment with me. Lee Yoon immediately invited him in. You can bring your friend along. 2. After that, they all walked into the building, Lee Yoon said. About your friend. According to regulations, S-rank hunters are not allowed inside for security reasons. Please understand, Giok thought. They sure are polite in front of an A-rank hunter. Walking deeper inside, he mumbled, So this is the place. The Korean Magic Tower. Giok knew it well. It was a major guild that managed many hunters and profited from their activities. I'm here today to see the person in charge, Yoon Sung said. I am An Yoon Sung, an A-rank hunter from the Nell Sisters Guild. I sent a letter yesterday. The receptionist said, You've come to the right place. The representative's office is on the top floor. The elevator is over there. Just press the 60th floor to get there. Giok whispered. Are we just going like this, with no one to guide us? She stepped forward without hesitation, replying, Let's just give it a try. The elevator chimed, indicating it was ascending to the 60th floor. He stopped short, exclaiming in surprise, The 60th floor. Yoon Sung was also startled, and Giok frowned as he called out, Yoon Sung. Before them was the image of a girl sitting on a sofa. And Giok said, Something's not right here. I'm sure I pressed the 60th floor. So why did it stop on the second floor? Is the elevator broken? Yoon-sung gave a strained laugh. I forgot to tell you. It seems this is some kind of test, Giok repeated. A test? Yoon-sung whispered. I heard the owner of this building, the guildmaster, has a strange hobby, which is understandable. There are only 3 S-rank hunters in all of South Korea, so meeting her is extremely difficult. The staff acts as if they fully expect visitors. But once you arrive, you're trapped in a maze of their creation. Giok looked around the building and asked, Is this a maze? That's right. The entire building is a maze. To meet the guildmaster, you have to find your own way up. Giok considered. So it's one of those, only those who can overcome this challenge may meet me situations. Huh. Should we just take the stairs? He reached out and touched the doorknob, preparing to open the door. The door swung open, and a dim light spilling out made them both freeze. The scene before them was stunning. They had gone from the second floor straight to a view of the underground parking garage. I heard that opening a door will take you to a random place, leaving you wandering with no way out. He calmly glanced around and said, Let's go back to the second floor, to which Yoon-sung replied softly, Okay. They returned to the staircase with heavy steps, and Giok asked in a steady voice, Has anyone ever cleared it? Yoon-sung shook her head. I don't know. There's been no news about it, so I guess no one has. Giok was skeptical. How can that be? You mean no one can solve it? Don't the employees here know the way, he asked? Do you have any clues, Yoon-sung said? Only a few executives know the way. How are we supposed to solve this complicated maze by ourselves? Are they expecting us to waste expensive items on this? Giok narrowed his eyes. Probably. It's true that we're the ones requesting a meeting. But setting up all these obstacles, you have to admit, this person has a peculiar hobby. In any case, you have to admit this maze is well designed. Suddenly a flash of blue light tore through the darkness. It's so impressive it makes me want to meet the mage who created it, he thought. This maze was created with magic. It feels like it was made by someone with the same background as me. Yoon-sung followed anxiously. What do we do now? Should we split up to find the way? We'll waste too much time otherwise. Giok stepped forward, turning to say, Don't worry. Yoon-sung. He placed his hand on the elevator, thinking for a long time. Even though I'm basically useless now, there's still one thing I can do. He closed his eyes, his hand touching the elevator, while Yoon-sung watched in confusion. Giok muttered, They can't even solve such a simple magic code. He opened his eyes, feeling the magical energy around him, and said, I found it. That's the way to the top floor. Yoon-sung's eyes widened in astonishment as she asked, Really? How did you do that? Giok asked back, Hey Yoon-sung, let me ask you something. If the inside of an elevator was empty, would you still change floors? Yoon-sung looked bewildered. The inside of the elevator is empty, he continued to ask. An elevator has a vertical shaft. Right. So it can only move up and down. Correct? Yoon-sung nodded. Ah, yes, that's right. Giok spoke up. All right, wait a moment. This made Yoon-sung freeze in place with a bewildered look on his face. He touched the elevator button and said, First, you press the open door button. Next, you step inside and select a higher floor. Then, just before the doors close, you quickly step back out. Giok stood before the doors and ordered, Yoon-sung, step back. Although he didn't understand, Yoon-sung did as he was told, muttering, Giok took a step back with his left foot, gathering his momentum and creating a loud thud. He unleashed a powerful kick against the door, startling Yoon-sung, who exclaimed, What are you doing? The door was completely shattered by the force of the kick. Yoon-sung jumped back in shock, his eyes wide with disbelief. Giok's expression was as cold as ice, showing not a hint of hesitation. After he smashed through, a large empty space was revealed on the other side. Yoon-sung cried out in alarm. Why would you do that? Giok replied curtly. Let's go, Yoon-sung, which seemed to calm him down. Yoon-sung stammered. Go where Giok looked into the empty space and answered. This floor connects directly to the one above through a hidden portal. Without another moment of hesitation, Giok leaped down into the void. As he fell, his voice echoed through the open air. "Jump down." Yoon-sung stood at the edge and called out after him, "Hey, Gioks." He landed on the floor of another level, enveloped in a current of magical energy. Yoon-sung jumped down after him, landing a bit unsteadily on his feet. "I've jumped into way more dangerous pits and dungeons before, so why do I still feel scared now?" He turned his head toward the source of a strange sound. A woman's voice rang out from a chair in the room. "You two have passed." The chair swiveled around, revealing a young woman with a bright smile who said, "You two are the best ones yet to solve my maze. I really didn't think you two would manage to find the emergency exit. I'm truly impressed." The young woman shot up from her seat and slammed her hands on the table. "But the game has only just begun. From this point forward, your opponent will be me, Esther of the Magic Tower." She put her hands on her hips and said loudly, "Please, take a seat, Hunter An Yoon-sung." Hearing his name, Yoon-sung trembled slightly, while Giok followed with an icy demeanor. Esther looked at Giok and asked, "Yoon-sung, could you introduce your friend? This man's analytical skills are quite impressive. With your skill set, there's no way you could have solved the maze I created. I set the difficulty incredibly high, yet he still managed to solve it with ease." Giok thought to himself, "So she's the one who created the maze. She's just as eccentric as the rumors say." He looked at Esther and said in a low voice, "I'm Kim Giok. I can introduce myself." Esther sat down across from them with a bright smile. "I like talented people. Kim Giok, I hope we can become good friends in the future, since both of your skills are quite rare." Yoon-sung glanced at Giok, noticing he was also wondering what it meant that they both had rare skills. Esther explained that the analysis skill is very rare among the awakened, making him a special case. Yoon-seung leaned in and whispered that Esther is a hunter with the curse attribute, which is extremely rare. Giok was surprised. A curse attribute. He recalled reading news about this company. Esther was someone who used debuffs like weaken and slow to hunt monsters. It was still the early days of the mana wave, so users of complex magic were extremely rare. Most of the awakened, like those in Hasyang or Kangchang-ho, used simple elemental magic like fire for combat. Those who could use magic shields or healing, like Ha and Yoon-sung, were even rarer, and those with skills like analysis, curses, or mind control were probably exceptionally rare. "I apologize for not recognizing you sooner. That information caught me by surprise." Esther laughed and said, "You must have been too busy to watch the news. I'm on TV all the time. With such an impressive analysis skill, you must get a lot of job offers. But let's pause our chat here for now. Ha, Yoon-seung. You said you wanted to discuss something related to a gate in the Magic Tower, correct?" Yoon-seung was startled. "Ha. Yes." Yoon-sung turned to Giok. "Actually, it's not me." "But," Giok stated coldly, "I want to request permission to enter the gate." "Yoon-seung just helped me schedule this meeting. I'm a low-rank awakened, so I was sure I'd be rejected," Esther asked. "What rank?" Giok presented his profession card, and Esther looked surprised. "Oh, an FA rank. That's normal for someone with an analysis skill. Your rank is even below the standard." Giok replied confidently. Then, "Do you find it strange that I was able to solve the maze?" Esther's tone became serious. "So what do you want to enter the gate for if you're planning to take resources? I won't help you. The resources produced by the tree are barely enough for my own use," Giok immediately said. "I will avoid the area with the tree," Esther asked. "You're not after the fruit." "Even so, it's difficult for me to let you into the gate." Giok was disappointed, but Esther spoke up. "What's more, awakened Giok is from another guild. Since you came with An Yoon-seung, you must be with the Nell sisters. Right. Maintaining exclusive rights to the gate costs a lot of money. I can't use my guild's efforts to help someone from another place. But if you really want to enter, just have a representative from your guild come and talk." Giok was annoyed. She meant they had to send someone important, not just some lackey. Esther warned him sternly. "I'm not kidding. Relay my message to the right person. Getting in isn't hard, you just have to pay," Giok thought. "This is a low-level dungeon. What's so valuable in it that she's acting so high and mighty she doesn't even know about the other valuable resources there?" He gave a faint smile. Hunter Esther. I'm sorry, but I don't belong to any guild. Esther was stunned. Huh. Yoon Seung jumped up and shouted. Ha! That's right, Giok isn't part of any team. He's a solo hunter. Giok calmly continued. You called me an analysis specialist, but I've never done that kind of work. The only person I know in the industry is Yoon Seung, which touched his friend. Helping me won't benefit any guild. This is just a personal request. Esther sat across from him, momentarily unable to react. He hesitated. Should I just say it? Then he spoke up. I don't intend to ask for free entry. Huh, Esther cut him off. Wait a minute. So right now, Esther flashed a sinister smile, her voice echoing with hidden meaning. This is interesting. She shot up from her seat, slamming her hands on the table, her smile sending a chill down his spine. What is with this woman? Esther smirked, her eyes cold as a purple aura swirled around her, full of menace. Giok was confused. Why did she suddenly lick her lips? I hadn't even mentioned the part she was most eager to hear. Esther leaned forward with a smug smile, radiating confidence. She shouted, Why didn't you just say that from the start? Giok answered painfully, Yes. Esther made her offer. Come to the Magic Tower right now, and I'll hire you on the spot if you agree. Getting into the gate won't be a problem. I'll even put you in charge of it. Giok was surprised. Is she serious? Yoon-sung commented that large guilds always have an abundant supply of magic stones and weapons. People with appraisal skills are highly valued, Giok remembered. That's right. They can't even determine purity with the naked eye. To avoid getting ripped off when trading magic stones, they have no choice but to hire an appraiser. Esther held up 5 fingers and declared, You'll get a 500 million signing bonus. Giok frowned. What did you just say? Esther shot back. What? Is that too little? Did the Nell sisters offer you a better price? They even managed to recruit An Yoon-sung, so why are they trying to poach our people? Yoon-sung quickly tried to calm her down. Giok thought to himself, 500 million. He wondered how many bowls of soup he could buy with that kind of money. Esther clarified. At the Korean Magic Tower, we already have plenty of skilled appraisers, so the workload won't be too heavy. Giok asked again. Are you really offering me 500 million to be an appraiser? She beamed, welcoming him eagerly. Of course, even Wung was surprised by her offer. Giok thought. I can just sit at a desk sorting items for money without any risk. I should just agree, Esther added. And you only have to work 4 days a week. He was stunned. Huh, she explained. In the appraisal department, you'd work 4 days a week on a flexible schedule. It suddenly dawned on Giok. He thought for a moment. Wait a minute. Work. A small hand reached out and flipped a switch. Wung thought, I regressed so I could retire, so why am I about to sign another work contract? Over time, early morning meetings with the boss and complaining customers all came to mind. Both he and Goom felt trapped, wanting nothing more than to just walk away. I can't go back to that kind of work life again. Esther presented the contract and asked, How about a little more motivation? Yoon-sung was shocked. That much Esther smiled. If you change your mind, our offer still stands, Giok said grimly. I'm sorry. I'll just pretend I never heard your offer. Esther was stunned. What? Then how much do you want? Giok replied. It's not about the money. More accurately, I have no intention of joining any guild at all. She looked disappointed for a moment. Clearly regretting her failure to recruit him, Esther's voice softened. If that's the case, then so be it. But are you sure? Because if I decline, you'll have to pay the entrance fee yourself. Unsure if he could afford it, Giok said seriously. I'd like to propose a trade. I know of an interesting material. When mixed with concrete or metal, it significantly increases its structural integrity. Even when attacked by monsters, a building made with it will remain standing because it absorbs mana. Giok spoke as he walked slowly across the floor. He continued, Maintaining the barrier around the tower must be incredibly expensive. Right. This information should be more than enough to cover my entrance fee, Esther replied. That sounds appealing? Of course. That's only if such a thing truly exists, Giok said. Feel free to verify it. I'm the only one who knows its location. And I'll share it with you, he thought to himself. It's that material from last time. The material I used to take down the firefall. Can it really absorb mana? Using this information now is a bit risky, since someone else might discover it soon, or I could have sold it for a high price before it was exposed. Esther was curious. Is that material really so effective? You'd reveal such important information just for entry. You're not going to use it to bargain somewhere else, Giok thought. She was so arrogant a moment ago. So why is she acting so dismissive now? He said, I promise I won't tell anyone else, Esther asked. Then wouldn't you be at a disadvantage? Giok replied. That's true, but I don't need any additional benefits from it. Just consider it a favor between people who share a rare attribute. As afternoon fell, the golden sunlight streamed through the tower's glass windows. Rays of light filtered through the glass and into the office as a voice called out. Miss Esther, the voice asked softly, is something wrong? Esther gave a small, pensive smile, looking somewhat hesitant. It's not exactly bad. I was just teasing that client a little. Haji's eyes widened. You didn't go and curse them again, did you? What did you do? You promised you wouldn't do that again, Esther said nonchalantly. Whatever, it's fun. It's not like I did anything too extreme. The worst that could happen is they'd stub their toe on a cabinet. She asked in return. So what was it this time? Esther replied calmly. I made them sing for 30 seconds. Haji let out a sigh. That's it. That's pretty tame, but it didn't look like they were singing. Did it? Esther nodded. They weren't. She gently placed her cup on the table. Murmuring, that's right. She suddenly had a realization and said slowly, just now, when I activated my skill, could it be that they were singing without any conscious control over it? Giok's piercing eyes flashed in her mind, and Esther muttered, why am I thinking about him again? She was bewildered by the way he kept staring at her so intensely. Giok's cold and imposing aura was still fresh in her memory. He looks truly terrifying, Esther thought. It's clear he knew everything from the very beginning. An awakener who can block a curse that even affects S-rankers. What in the world is he? Then a voice called out. Ms. Esther, Minjun rushed to report. The material from before really can absorb mana, Esther asked. Is that true? He was so willing to hand that over? He must be trying to impress me. How unsettling, Esther thought. She commanded. Bring me Hunter Kimki-ryo's file, Haji replied. Yes, ma'am, I understand, Esther stated. I need to find out just who this man really is. At the same time, on the way back, Giok was retching non-stop. A worried Yoon Sung asked, Are you all right? Giok made a mental note to himself. Remember that coffee. Never drink it again, he grumbled. I thought it was only for special guests, so I forced myself to drink it. Then he noticed the strange taste and thought, what is this stuff? It smelled exactly like Anferi glue. Ms. Tone said this was only for esteemed guests. So how could she force me to drink that? An image of Esther flashed in his mind. Giok recalled. I even looked her right in the eye, Esther had asked. Is the coffee not to your liking? Giok had forced himself to say. No, it's delicious. While thinking, if I spit this out, I'll look like a total weirdo. Let's confirm this again. I am currently controlling Kimki-ryo's body using the magic of an extraterrestrial life form. Unless someone is stronger than me, no one can control this body with drugs or hypnosis. Even a charm from an E-rank hunter would be useless against it. That was way too close, Giok thought. Yoon Seong asked, Giok, about that thing you gave to Esther. You said you were the only one who knew about it. I've never heard of any kind of sand that can extinguish falling fire or reinforce structures like that. Giok shrugged. I only recently discovered it myself. Yoon Seong was puzzled. Why would you give something so valuable to a pregnant woman instead of reporting it to the Hunter Association? Oh, by the way, do you have something against the Hunter Association? Giok replied. I don't feel anything one way or the other. Yoon Seong pressed. Really? Giok said seriously. I just wanted to make a good impression on Esther. Yoon Seong's eyes went wide as he yelled. What? Giok, startled, stammered. Yoon Seong blurted out a guess. Is Esther your ideal type or something? Giok immediately denied it. No, I don't have any feelings for her. Yoon Seong hesitated. Oh, I see. But Giok was still confused, thinking to himself, then what? What do you want to get from that gate? The next day, The early morning sun shone down as a light breeze drifted through the city. Giok woke up, his body exhausted and aching all over. Let's see. Have those things dried yet? Yesterday, Giok and Yoon-sung had entered the gate according to their agreement with Esther. They were attacked by a horde of monsters. He fought fiercely. Beside him was Yoon-sung, an A-rank hunter. The hunt went smoothly. Giok easily obtained the crucial material needed to create the mana amplifier. Holding the wings of the fairy-like beast, Giok felt a sense of relief. He never thought he'd be able to get them, and it was all thanks to Yoon-seung. Good, everything is progressing. Now that the most difficult material is secured, the rest will be much easier. He was one step closer to reclaiming his power. Once he could use magic again. The era of Homo sapiens would come to an end. He opened the refrigerator, about to get something to eat, when the doorbell suddenly rang. He called out, "Who is it?" It must be friends or relatives of Kim Ki-ryo. A voice called from outside, "Come on out." Giok reluctantly opened the door, thinking it would be a hassle if it was one of his acquaintances. A woman spoke up, "Hello. Mr. Kim Ki-ryo, I'm from the Hunter Association. May I have a moment of your time?" Giok thought wearily. "Great, and I haven't even eaten yet," he asked. "What's this about?" Woo Jae-on replied. "Please step outside for a moment. I apologize for arriving unannounced, but we are authorized to do so according to regulations." She glanced into the house and continued. "All right, let me explain the reason for this visit. We've received a report suspecting you of fraudulent awakening registration. Our investigation has revealed signs of deception." Giok was stunned. "What did you just say?" Woo Jae-on clarified. "We need to reevaluate your abilities, so we must ask you to come to the association immediately," Giok asked. "Right now," she replied. "Yes." She gestured toward the two large guards standing behind her, as if giving a warning. The unspoken message was clear. "Unless you want to be forcibly escorted." Giok glanced at them and felt a sense of unease. "Looks like I won't be eating today." The car carrying him sped down the road. To understand why this stern woman came looking for Kim Ki-ryo, we have to go back a few weeks. The reason she appeared before Kim Ki-ryo began from that moment. She looked at him with eyes full of suspicion. Woo-jun looked at the present-day Giok, recalling what had happened. Back then, he had coldly stated, "My rank is F." She had exclaimed in shock, "You're an F rank, so how did you take down that monster?" He replied curtly, "It was just luck. That bird just slammed itself into a wall and died." An answer like that wasn't what you'd expect from an F-rank hunter, and it made Woo Jae-on start to suspect him. Her suspicions grew stronger when she reviewed Giok's file, thinking to herself, "Is he really just F-rank? Only one gate entry. Was that his entire career? How could a person who had only entered an F-rank gate manage to defeat a C-rank monster by himself in broad daylight? If someone was faking their rank, it would be extremely dangerous. Who knew what they might do among weaker hunters? But Woo-jun didn't have the authority to investigate, so she could only submit a report expressing her suspicions about Kim Ki-ryo. Normally, the matter would have ended there. But a few days later, Woo Jae-on read a news report and was shocked. "What the hell is this?" She stared at the news about Ha-seong and muttered, "This is insane." Everything was turned upside down when the sole survivor also submitted a report about Kim Ki-ryo. Woo Jae-on thought seriously, "I'm a civil servant, but if Jung Ha-seong is also suspicious, then I can't just ignore this. Kim Ki-ryo is definitely hiding his true rank. Like, I thought he would run or resist, but who would have guessed he'd be so cooperative?" She recalled seeing Giok's house, which was unexpectedly small and dilapidated. Even D-rank hunters didn't live so simply. Was he hiding his assets? Woo-jun's train of thought was cut off by a voice. "Excuse me, how much does the reevaluation cost?" "I didn't bring any money," she replied. "The test is about 480,000 won, but since this is part of an investigation, it will be free of charge. However, that's only if your rank remains the same. If fraud is discovered, you will be penalized and have to pay the fee." A chill ran down Giok's spine. Am I in trouble? After hearing Woo-jun's explanation, he glanced around to survey the area. The room was spacious, with a few people sitting in front of the ability assessment counters. Giok frowned as he looked at the testing device. This method makes no sense. How can someone with a lung condition get an accurate power reading? Giok felt a wave of relief. He was completely at ease, especially since he was a heavy smoker with ruined lungs. So what was there to worry about? You think that piece of junk machine can find anything? Ujon cut off his train of thought by calling out, "Mr. Kim Ki-ryo, Mr. Kim Ki-ryo, please come this way," a staff member said. "This evaluation will use our newest state-of-the-art equipment." He panicked. State-of-the-art equipment. The staff member, Lion, explained that the old method wasn't accurate for people with lung conditions. "You must have received the re-evaluation notice from last year." Correct, Giok was stunned. They figured it out and even upgraded the system. Woo Jae-on said sarcastically, "Mr. Kim Ki-ryo, you've had plenty of opportunities to come forward and correct your rank." He frantically backed away. "Wait, there's been a misunderstanding." Two guards rushed forward and grabbed Giok's arms. She said coldly, "Then let's begin. You've probably seen the news about the penalties for filing a false report, haven't you?" He was forced into the measurement device, unable to resist. "Oh, no." Without keeping Giok waiting, Ujon said, "The results are in. If your stats are higher than the rank change threshold, Kim Ki-ryo, you'll be flagged as a fraud. You've probably seen on the news what happens to people convicted of false reporting, right?" He was terrified. "I didn't know anything. I just reported my information as it was before." Giok was extremely worried. Who would have thought they had such an advanced machine? Would the enormous amount of mana, once hidden by his lungs, now be exposed? I'll have to explain that I'm an otherworldly being who possessed Kim Ki-ryo, but his lungs are shot from smoking. The lungs are the real problem. He froze when he remembered the testing fee was 480,000 won. Won Jae-on started reading the results. Awakening value of 14. F rank. No signs of fraud. She looked bewildered. "What? There's no evidence," she added. The value increased by about 2 compared to last year, which isn't a concerning level of growth. He was stunned. So it did increase. Giok asked Won Jae-on, "Will this stat continue to increase?" She replied, "No, it usually only increases to this point and then stops. The innate awakening value cannot change on its own." Her answer was devastating. "Does this body really only have F-rank mana? I failed at magic because my mana pool was empty from the start. It wasn't that the equipment was broken, it was my lungs." Giok suddenly remembered something important. "At that time, I walked right down that path, but the golem didn't see me. It only attacked An Yun-sung's group. Even though I shouted loudly, it still ignored me." Giok shuddered. Could it be that it didn't even recognize him as an intruder? The cruel truth hit him, and Giok's chest felt heavy as Won Jae-on called out his name worriedly. Kim Ki-ryo. He fell into shock, his eyes staring blankly into the distance. "I have to accept it. My reincarnation magic has been a complete failure. And now, I will live as the weakest mage on the planet." The sun was setting, staining the sky red. Giok walked home, lost in thought. Well, even a grand mage can fail. I'm lucky I realized it early. In any case, all suspicions have been cleared. All this time. Won Jae-on had been walking silently beside him. She asked with concern, "Are you sure you don't need to go to the hospital? Sometimes the test can cause side effects for low-level individuals." Giok quickly reassured her, "Thank you for your concern. I'm really fine." Even so, Won Jae-on still felt uneasy. His complexion had looked terrible ever since the test. He was so moved he could have cried. It was hard to believe an Earthling was actually worried about him. He called out, "Hey, Sung Won-jan," she replied. "Huh," Giok asked. "How did you know I was home today? It's the middle of the week." Won Jae-on smiled. "Oh, that's my awakened skill. I'm a tracker." He looked confused. "A tracker," she explained. "Simply put, I track things. You can look it up on the PC Wiki for more details. I can locate people or targets in real time. It's usually used to track down criminals." Before Won Jae-on could finish, Giok interrupted. "Wait a minute, Sun Won-jan." He stopped her and pointed to the ground, where something black was lying motionless. Kim Jae-on asked cautiously, "What? What is that?" She looked closely and saw the body of a weasel that had been hit by a car. "It's just a weasel, probably an accident." Giok sat beside her with his eyes fixed on the weasel as she continued. "This kind of thing happens all the time around here." He suddenly grabbed it by the ears and lifted it up. Kim Jae-on was stunned. "Hunter Kim Gi-ok," he replied. "What a waste of something so precious." He held the weasel in his arms with a mournful look in his eyes. She thought, "Precious, does he mean it's a pity?" Then reminded him, "That thing's been dead for a while. It's unsanitary to touch it." Giok immediately replied, "If it's dirty, I can just wash it." He stood up and said coolly, "That's Mr. Wu Jaeon's car. I'm heading in." She quickly replied, "Oh, okay." Giok pointed the way. "My house is just down this alley." She was taken aback and said, "Oh, be careful then." Watching him hold the weasel, she thought to herself that he must be taking it home to bury it. In Anfauri, the materials for creating golems are divided into two main types, one being blackstone and metal, which are called inorganic golems. The other type uses animal carcasses and are called organic golems. In short, Kim Giok had just found an excellent specimen. On his way back, a creature suddenly landed on Giok's shoulder. He thought, "What luck. Biological specimens are scattered everywhere on Earth. Once he finishes the mana enhancement potion, he'll test his magic right here." Kim Jaeon was still standing behind them, and seeing this, she couldn't help but be surprised. Watching Giok's figure disappear, she thought to herself, "He's warmer than I thought." For an Earthling who didn't know the truth, his actions left a strong impression. Late at night, Giok's apartment was submerged in silence. He laid out his experimental tools, grimacing as he exclaimed, "What the why is the compatibility so low? Is it the lungs it hurts so much trying to force the concentration to increase without the proper equipment?" His phone vibrated right at that moment. No matter how weak the mana is, it should at least be enough to activate a spell. He picked up the phone. "Hello?" Already annoyed. Who the hell would call at this hour? It was already 10 o'clock at night. He suddenly remembered that because of an earlier post, he had added the perception skill to his hunter profile. He had asked online what to do after awakening, and someone replied that if you have a hunter rank, you should go to the Hunters Association to get your skills tested. Declaring your skills would be convenient later on, he then thought. So that information is public, even to outsiders, ever since he registered the perception skill. Invitations from scout teams had been flooding in, which was really annoying. Giok sat on his bed and sighed. "I'm too lazy to even reject them. This is so tiring." Another notification popped up. He picked up his phone helplessly. What is it now? After reading it, Giok was stunned. The world's sweetest. He was confused. "Meet at the convenience store right now." Giok immediately left his house. It was late at night and the streets were deserted. He grumbled as he walked. This is exhausting. But he heard they had prepared something for him, so it would be weird to refuse. As he was walking, he suddenly saw a sedan parked in front of him. He frowned and walked closer. "What's this? Why is this car stopped here?" The person inside the car didn't say anything, just sat there silently. Then the door burst open, and several people stepped out. He panicked. "Whoa, what?" One of them circled behind Giok and suddenly lunged forward. He wrapped his arms around him, squeezing tight. Then he put him in a headlock, causing Giok to freeze up, his face turning pale. "No, you can't." Giok's consciousness began to fade away. His vision blurred, and all he could see was a large, hazy figure. His head throbbed with pain. Giok thought hazily, "I could have handled a magic attack, but I'm helpless against a physical one. Wait, how long was I out?" His hands were tied behind his back. "Where am I?" His eyes were tightly blindfolded. Giok despaired. "This world. This is insane," a voice rang out. "Is the one we captured that F-rank guy?" He immediately listened in as they continued. "Yeah, we got him right as he was leaving the gold shop." Giok wondered. Did they get the wrong guy, or do they have a grudge against Kim Ki-ryo? The two men continued their conversation, mentioning how lucky they were to meet the deadline and confirming that he was, in fact, an F rank. One of them mentioned that they had a D rank team test him with a surprise attack, and he couldn't even move. The man ordered a thorough check for broken bones, telling them to fix any they found immediately, but the other guy just growled. "Hey, I'm no amateur." Suddenly, one of the men panicked. The boss is here," another voice replied. "Yes, I am." Giok shivered as he realized someone else had entered the room. One of the goons rushed to greet the arrival and ordered, "Bow! This is our VIP client." The entire group bowed their heads in unison. "Greetings, sir," the man continued. "Our VIP client will inspect the merchandise himself later, so get it ready." Two of the men immediately obeyed. Giok froze when he heard the word merchandise. The VIP client's name was Kang Chang-ho. He let out a menacing laugh. "Hold on a second." Chang-ho looked directly at the bound Giok and said, "So the kid's awake. Is he—" Giok heard footsteps approaching him, his mind reeling. "What? How does he know?" The man bent down and removed Giok's blindfold. He tossed the piece of cloth aside and said, "Hello there. It's been a while. Hunter Kim Giok," seeing who it was. Giok blurted out, "Kang Chang-ho, why are you here?" He replied, "You were brought here so suddenly. You must have no idea what's going on." "Allow me to explain." He explained that recently. There have been rumors about a hunter possessing an incredibly powerful perception skill, one strong enough to navigate the Magic Tower's labyrinth. Ironically, however, that person's awakened level was only F rank. Possessing a high-level skill that doesn't match your rank makes you an easy target for criminals, Giok asked in fear. "So, what are you people going to do to me?" Chang-ho laughed. "We're going to sell you." "Of course. Plenty of people out there want to hide their true strength. To do that, you'd need a private appraiser, and you know the fees aren't cheap, so it's less expensive to just break the law." "Right," Giok asked. He replied, "It's not even comparable, especially when you factor in the maintenance fees." Giok thought. "So that means are being held by an awakened trafficking organization." Chang-ho added that low-rankers have weak minds and are easily exploited. The lackeys were discussing among themselves, saying they were used to the work here, and that enslaved awakened are less likely to betray them. Giok could only think, what kind of VIP treatment is this? As Chang-ho turned to leave, he called out, "Mr. Kang Chang-ho, could you help me with something?" He replied, "Why should I help? I'm just a customer. My business is different. I was just passing through." "Well then, see you later. F rank Kim Giok." He was left speechless, thinking, "Hey, wait." A moment later, a voice rang out. "The new goods have arrived. Take the F ranker upstairs." Two men approached, saying in unison, "Yes, sir." Fear filled his eyes. He thought in a panic, "I shouldn't have been reincarnated in a place like this." They led him to another room. They opened the door and shoved him hard, causing him to fall into a pitch-black room. The two men in full-face helmets whispered, "He's not blindfolded. So what, he'll pass out anyway." Then they closed the door. He glanced around, silently observing his surroundings. Giok sat leaning against the wall, thinking that being moved didn't mean he was going to be sold immediately, so why was he left alone in here? Suddenly, he smelled a strange fragrance. Wait a minute. On a shelf in the corner of the room, something was emitting a scent that was sweet, like flowers, Giok noted to himself. He looked closer and saw that it was a type of magical artifact. It seemed to be a sleep-inducing artifact, with a scent strong enough to make even a B-ranker fall asleep. But for a great archmage like him, it was meaningless. He tried to pull out his shoelace. This was no time for delay. He had to get out of here. Giok brought the shoelace to his mouth and bit down on it firmly. He held one end of the lace with his foot and held the other end in his mouth. Pressing it against his bindings, he thought, "Please work." He rubbed it quickly to create friction. A spark flashed and a wisp of smoke rose. Giok muttered in his mind, "Come on." Frictional heat. After trying with all his might, the rope binding his hands finally snapped. He was surprised. Did it work? Giok told himself that even though he could resist brainwashing, being sold off without the ability to use magic was truly dangerous. First, I need to report this. But where's my phone? It's gone. Which makes sense. These guys wouldn't leave a victim with their belongings. So, what do I have left to use for my escape? Giok stood up, and his eyes fell upon the magical artifact that was spreading its fragrance. He reached out and grabbed the chain attached to it. The magical artifact was still emitting a strong, sweet scent in his hand. Giok thought to himself, I guess my only option is to use this. Just then, the two lackeys were distracted and had their guard down. Both of them suddenly turned around, their eyes wide with surprise. The smell from Giok's cell was getting stronger, and the magical item was glowing brightly. They covered their noses and mouths and shouted, "What? What is that?" Immediately after, Giok threw the magical item straight into one of the men's faces. The other guy roared in anger, "You bastard! How could you?" The scent was spreading so thickly that even covering their noses couldn't stop it. Finally, one of them collapsed, completely unconscious. Now, only Giok remained standing, still holding the magical item in his hand. He held it up and said, "This thing is pretty effective, huh?" He accidentally kicked a phone on the ground and thought to himself, "I have to act now before I get caught?" Right. Giok bent down to pick up the phone. Is this what they dropped? Perfect timing. He dialed 112, telling himself that if he were from Earth, he would have called immediately. He pressed the call button and held the phone to his ear. A voice came from the other end of the line. "Yes, this is the police. What's your emergency?" he said. I've been robbed." But the police couldn't hear him clearly and asked again. "Sir, hello. Could you speak up, please?" He repeated. "I said I was just robbed, but the voice on the other end just said, hello." He looked at the phone and thought, what is this? Can't they hear me? Is the phone broken? He switched to texting. "My name is Kim Gios, and I am currently being kidnapped." He felt helpless. "I'll try texting and see what happens. Hopefully it works." 112 responded. "Message received. Dispatch will take some time. For immediate assistance, please call 112 again." He asked back, "How long will it take?" But he only received the same pre-programmed message as before. His hope vanished. Giok thought in disappointment. What the heck with an automated response like this? Are they even reading my messages? This isn't good. I need to find a more reliable way. He composed a text message to Yoon Seung asking for help. After sending it, he stood up, put the phone in his pocket, and felt a bit more relieved. The report was done. He picked up the magical item again. Giok wondered if he should start his escape plan right away. At the same time, 2 large henchmen were patrolling the area. One of them noticed something strange and asked, "Hey, what's that?" The powerful scent of the magical item was spreading towards them, and they looked suspiciously at the hazy mist. Giok appeared, and one of them exclaimed in shock, "Who is that guy?" Seeing him continuously throwing the magical items at high speed, one of them asked blankly, "Did one of our guys dye their hair?" Giok tossed the magical device high into the air to gain momentum. Then he threw it straight at the guy in front of him. Caught by surprise, he couldn't dodge in time, and the object smashed right into his face. The other guy panicked and shouted, "Wait a minute. Could you be the Awakened we just captured?" Just as he realized it, Giok was already charging forward, magical device in hand. That guy's eyes widened as blood sprayed from his nose. And then he collapsed, unconscious. Giok said, "You morons can't do anything right," he thought. "To escape, I need to find a way out, but I don't know the layout of this place. And the windows are all sealed shut." Suddenly, he sensed something and stopped short. Giok turned his head, and in front of him was a spatial door radiating immense power. The amount of mana is so large that even I can see it. It's a gate. There was no mistaking it. There was a gate right outside the building, the very thing hunters are always searching for. Usually, gates like that only appear in forests, mountains, or empty lots. If I use that as my escape route, I might have a chance. Just then, a group of people appeared behind him. Someone's voice rang out. "What's going on? Did that F-ranker escape?" Giok immediately bolted down the stairs, thinking as he ran, "I have to get downstairs to escape." But just as he set foot on the stairs, a sharp pain suddenly shot through his knee, causing him to stagger and collapse. He panicked. "Damn it, I haven't even run a few steps and my leg is already giving out." Behind him, one of the men spotted him. There he is. The whole group immediately charged forward, shouting, "An F-ranker thinks he can escape, grab him now." But when they saw him holding the magical device, the whole group froze. "Wait a minute. That thing," they shouted. "Everyone, hold your breath." But Giok's expression turned cold. "It's too late for that now." He tossed the magical device again, and the smell grew even thicker. The goons covered their noses and mouths, but it was useless. They started coughing violently. It's so hard to breathe. Giok threw the magical device up one more time, but this time, one of the men managed to catch it. He gripped it tightly and growled in fury. "You damn F-ranker." He immediately dashed towards Giok. Then he slammed him hard against the wall, his hand pressing against his throat. Giok's entire body trembled as the man said, "You're merchandise for sale, so I'm not supposed to touch you. But today is your unlucky day." Before he could finish his sentence, Giok grabbed his hand. Then he brought his knee up, kicking the guy straight in the chin. The man staggered and fell backward, knocked unconscious. Completely exhausted, Giok slumped to the floor, gasping for breath. By this point, all the henchmen had collapsed from the scent of the magic item, and he panted. "I'm dead tired." He picked up the magic item and looked at it in surprise. My mana is draining way too fast, damn it. I had to fight on the run. And now I'm being tracked. Turning his head, Giok saw another dimensional gate radiating magical energy. And he thought, it's not going to be easy from here on out. It's an exit, that's right. The gate over there is fluctuating. He braced himself against the wall, forcing himself up and walking towards it, thinking, a gate this large must lead outside. He touched the door and discovered it was unlocked. Just then, one of the henchmen yelled, "Director, an awakened being escaped from the upper floor." Giok opened the door, only to be shocked to find the boss and Chang Ho standing inside talking. They all stared at him, stunned. The two men behind the boss went pale, as the boss said in confusion, "What the? How did he get like this?" He yelled at his subordinates. "What kind of management is this? Letting him escape?" The henchmen bowed their heads in unison. "We're sorry, sir." While Giok thought to himself, "I'm in trouble," he glanced over at Chang Ho, who was smiling, and thought, "The gate is inside the building, and I ran right into Chang Ho. I'm screwed. If he had been outside, I would have sensed his magical power and escaped already." A henchman stepped forward and shouted, "Hey, you F-rank! How did you take care of the guys upstairs?" The guy next to him stared, wide-eyed. "He took them all down alone, you bastard." "So they think the report calling me an F-rank was a lie meant to deceive them," Giok thought. "I get it now. They had no idea he used a scent to manipulate the guards. If he could have just lured Chang Ho away, he would have been able to escape. It would be so much better if he wasn't here." The boss pulled his hat down in embarrassment, sighed, and said to Chang Ho, "My apologies, Mr. Kong, for such a mess to break out right after our important transaction." He continued, "I know this is sudden, but could you lend me a hand?" Chang Ho asked. "With what?" the boss replied quickly. "Capture that hunter. The chairman is coming for an evaluation soon. My men could probably catch him, but it would be more certain if an S-rank hunter handled it." Hearing this, Giok thought, how shameless, asking a VIP to do his work for him. Chang Ho listened, then smiled and replied, "Of course, I'll help. We're in the same boat, after all." The boss was overjoyed and praised his quick thinking. Giok was startled and felt helpless. "He actually agreed to that," the boss added. "Now that I think about it, you also needed a sensor device. I'll give you a massive discount." Chang Ho turned and called out, "Did you hear that? Kim Gyosi, I'm getting a great deal thanks to you. He'll be very impressed with me after I capture you." Giok thought despairingly, "There's no escape now. Where are the police? Did Yoon Sung even see the news?" Chang Ho leaned in close and whispered, "So, how do you plan on escaping now? There's no exit behind you, and you're completely exhausted. Even if I were to let you go, you wouldn't be able to run." Giok thought to himself, "It's not that I don't want to run. I'm just sick of all this talk." He spoke up, "Hey, Hunter Kang Chang Ho, have you ever once seen me run away?" Hearing this, Chang Ho paused, a flicker of surprise on his face. Giok stared straight at him with cold eyes, and then Chang Ho continued, "Don't tell me, you want to..." Hearing those words, a memory flashed through Chang Ho's mind. He had met Giok before, and they had even spoken to each other. Returning to the present, he answered in a cold voice, "Never." Giok's expression turned to stone as Chang Ho added, Not even a single time. Chang-ho stepped closer and asked, "So you're saying you don't plan on running this time? Then let's put that to the test right here." "Ah, no, there's no need for us to fight." As soon as he heard that, Giok raised both hands and replied, "I surrender." Chang-ho thought to himself. "Surrender," he said. "You took down all the guards to get in here, and now you're talking about surrender." Giok thought resentfully. "I didn't fight anyone. He probably thinks everyone is just like him." Chang-ho spoke again. "You really expect me to believe you?" Giok narrowed his eyes, thinking, "He's right. If our roles were reversed, I wouldn't trust someone who had already escaped from me once." Suddenly, a streak of magical energy flashed past Giok's face. He thought, "What's he planning now?" He whipped his head around, his thoughts racing. What was that? Just then, someone stepped out from a spatial gate and called out, "Hey, boss!" He was a foreigner, with a tall and powerful build. Seeing him emerge from the portal, Giok thought, "Is that a teleportation gate?" No, that's not a gate. It's a magical conduit, a spatial movement skill. The boss approached him. "Right on the dot at 12 o'clock. Punctuality is your defining trait." The foreigner laughed. "Well, Koreans are known for keeping their promises." Chang-ho also stepped forward, interjecting, "Aha, so this is the transporter," the boss replied. "A rare type of mage, one who can teleport people." Chang-ho's eyes widened. "Whoa, I can't believe I'm seeing one with my own eyes." The boss made the introduction. "This is S-rank hunter Kang Chang-ho," the foreigner replied. "Of course, the top hunter in the business." Giok heard a noise and thought, "Maybe I should try to escape right now." A streak of magical energy flared up behind Chang-ho as the foreigner said, "It's an honor to meet you. Hunter Kang Chang-ho." Turns out, he was secretly activating his powers. While the foreigner was still mid-sentence, Chang-ho suddenly struck, aiming right for his head. The man was thrown backward, his head slamming into the wall behind him. Giok was completely stunned by the scene, unable to understand what was happening. The boss yelled in a panic, What's going on? Hunter Kang Chang-ho?" That guy crashed headfirst into the wall, dying on the spot. Chang-ho turned and glared at the boss, who cried out, "What the hell is going on?" he said coldly. "Dealing with someone like that costs time and money, and if you're careless, someone with a teleportation skill will just get away. I didn't really care at first if you guys were smuggling or using illegal gates, but someone with the ability to open a spatial passage is a different story." Hearing this, Giok's mind was in turmoil. What is going on? Chang-ho's eyes flashed as his aura flared. He advanced on the boss and said, "But I'm very interested." The boss trembled as two of his henchmen rushed forward to block the way. Chang-ho said, "But dragging someone with teleportation abilities out of my territory, that's a completely different matter." He instantly appeared behind one of the men. The color drained from the henchman's face as he yelled, "Boss, get to the portal now." Chang-ho landed an incredibly powerful punch on him. The man flew backwards, landing a good distance away from Giok. Giok thought, "He's truly unbeatable." Reaching S-rank is no easy feat. At first, the ranks only went from A to F. But then, overwhelmingly powerful hunters started to appear, and a new, off-the-charts rank was created. It was the only level that could measure power that exceeded the standard scale. That was S rank. The other henchman was taken down as well, landing right in front of Giok. He stood frozen, thinking, he's truly an apex predator. Now, only the boss remained in the room. He leaned against the wall, his face pale and his entire body trembling uncontrollably. He stammered, "Please, spare me. I'm begging you." Chang-ho stepped forward, his expression darkening. He said, "And you're asking me for mercy in a situation like this?" His eyes filled with contempt as he continued, "Spare your life." The boss looked up, and his face grew even paler when he saw the murderous intent in Chang-ho's eyes. He finished the man off without a moment of hesitation. A scream echoed through the room, and Giok could only look away, helpless. Sweat broke out on his skin as he thought, "You really should never cross Kang Chang-ho." Just then, the sound of police sirens blared, startling them both. As many as 5 police cars were parked right in front of the building. They were both surprised, exclaiming in unison. "The police?" Chang-ho turned to him and asked. "Did you call them?" Giok thought for a second. "Ah, yes, I did." Why the surprise? Chang-ho stood there, completely stunned. He spoke up. "Let's get one thing straight. Don't lump me in with this scum. I was just stopping them from smuggling fake awakeners out of the country." Giok cut in. "That's a job for the police," Chang-ho scoffed. "You wouldn't be saying that if you knew how slow they are. Finding this place should have taken a few days, but it took much longer, ever since public servants started switching careers to become hunters. A manpower shortage has been unavoidable, but they arrived much faster than I expected this time. I suppose it's thanks to the assistance of Hunter Kim Giok." He clapped Giok on the shoulder, adding, "I'm curious, but it's getting late, so I won't ask." Giok exclaimed in surprise. "Are you thanking me?" Then he thought, "Wait a second." Giok thought, "That guy's gone. It'll be a pain if I stay here." So he yelled out, "Kang Chang-ho, wait up, Kang Chang-ho. Hey, you brat." But he paid no mind and just kept walking. So Giok shouted helplessly, "Damn it. For that S-rank hunter to just disappear in a situation like this. Things are definitely going to get worse from here." Just then, a squad of police officers burst in. One ran forward while the others aimed their guns and shouted, "Hands up, police." They immediately subdued him, cuffed his hands, and warned, "Use your abilities again and you'll be dealt with." "What about the victims? What did you do to them?" Giok panicked. I'm the one who reported it." But they ignored his words, yelling, "Don't move. You're under arrest according to the Awakened Criminals Act." And Giok thought bitterly, "These guys have some nerve. Why are they treating a harmless alien like me this way?" Suddenly, a voice called out from behind, "Wait a minute." It was Woo Jae-on. She had just run up, panting, and asked, "Are you Mr. Kim Giok? Why are you in handcuffs?" Giok turned around. "I have no idea." And a police officer asked, "Do you know this man?" She replied, "Yes. He's the one who reported the kidnapping of the false awakeners." Hearing that, the officer immediately unlocked the cuffs, saying, "Oh, is that so? My apologies." Giok thought, "I already told you that. Couldn't you just listen to me for a second?" He turned and asked, "But how did you get here so fast?" "Ms. Woo Jae-on." She held up a message on her phone. "I was contacted by Hunter and Yoon Seung. He said he received this message from Kim Giok." And as he looked at the text, he thought, "It's a good thing Yoon Seung got it in time." A police officer was checking the identities of the unconscious men. Woo Jae-on continued, "Yoon Seung is dealing with a dungeon break in Siwi. He received the message while on his mission. I used my tracking skill to get here." Another officer called out, "Captain." He handed over an ID card and reported, "This whole group is involved in an illegal human trafficking ring." And the captain was stunned. "What?" Woo Jae-on was also stunned. The officer continued, "It's the organization that specializes in kidnapping false awakeners and selling them overseas. This seems to be their gathering point," she thought. "I've heard about this organization. They're so sophisticated that even investigative agencies have trouble tracking them," the captain said. This place was probably the ringleader's old base, but it's abandoned now. He turned to Giok and asked, "Did you wreck this place?" Giok quickly replied, "It wasn't me. It was that psycho Kang Chang-ho." The officer asked again, "Then what about all the people lying scattered on the first floor?" Giok stammered. "Ah, well, I did do that, but..." The officer cut him off. "If you're the one who reported it, please be more clear." And Giok sighed, thinking, "Well, there's no way out of this," he said. "Actually, I was just defending myself." Hearing that, Woo Jae-on was a little surprised. She put a hand to her chin and thought, Kim Gi-ok isn't tied up at all. And he's in the boss's room. Plus, he's the one who reported it. An officer handed him a magic tool, asking, "Does this belong to a hunter? We found it out in the hallway." Woo Jae-on silently looked around the room and at the spatial gate in the middle of the hall. She continued to think, "He has almost no injuries. How can he be so calm after nearly being sold off?" Was Kim Gi-ok really kidnapped, or is this whole thing DSU? Jong stared at him holding the magic tool, suspecting this was all part of Gi-ok's plan. A quiet street corner bathed in the morning sun. In a small room, Gi-ok muttered. I didn't mean for that to happen. In front of him was a low wooden table and a dark brown item. Gi-ok said, to finally get a free magic tool like this. What a score, he thought. The police didn't know its function and even mistook its owner. This must be a rare item, and since it's continuously rechargeable, it's perfect for me. Even though someone ran off and left me to fend for myself, I can let it slide. He wondered, this only works on humans, right? It's probably ineffective against beasts or monsters. A bubbling sound came from the kettle on the stove. He turned and said, finally. Gi-ok walked over, turned off the stove, and said softly, it's a success. The color is absolutely perfect. Gi-ok thought to himself, to be able to create this in such a remote place with shoddy ingredients. I truly am a rare magical genius. A magic enhancement potion. Drinking it allows the user to temporarily surpass the minimum magic threshold needed to activate a spell and maintain it for a short time. In short, it's like a fire starter, just meant to give your magic that initial spark. He put the glass down, muttering, good, my breathing is still stable. The potion is effective for 5 minutes, just enough time to cast a single spell. Gi-ok raised his hand as a blue light flashed, and he said, and now for the next step. Time to cast my first spell on Earth. Restore the damaged right patella and leg muscles. He brought a stream of blue flame forward, chanting softly, stabilize the body's condition, halt the aging process. Gi-ok took a few tentative steps across the floor and said quietly, I think it's done. He was secretly pleased. All right, the pain is gone, but I can't celebrate just yet. Because the road ahead is a marathon. Not a sprint, Gi-ok thought. Now that I've tested it myself, it's painfully clear that Kim Ki-seo's mana capacity is absolute garbage. I'm already drained after using a single low-level spell. My lungs can't handle the strain, and I can't afford to abuse the enhancement potion. No, I can't think so negatively. After all, getting a positive result is still a win. Let's think positively. First, I need to prepare a meal for today. A sudden knock echoed from the door. He walked towards it, calling out, who's there? As he walked quietly, he wondered, could it be Wu Jae-on again? Gi-ok opened the door, asking, who is it? A voice from outside replied, are you the student? Jincha spoke. It's about the fire extinguisher. So you are home. I was just about to call you. Gi-ok hesitated. This person is the owner of this room, a relationship that this body still clearly remembers. He managed to reply, hello? And the man said, I'm sorry for showing up so unexpectedly. The man asked, are you having a tough time this month? Confused, he replied, yes, I am. Jincha continued, you haven't transferred the rent money. Gi-ok thought to himself, the rent money. The man said, it's been several months, and I can't wait any longer. Your mailbox is full of letters. And the management fee hasn't been paid either. He was flustered. His mouth went dry. Well, about that. Gi-ok's face turned pale and his mind went blank. Just how many months overdue was it all? The man's voice softened. Son, I keep getting calls because of this. Please pay it soon. I can only wait until the end of the month, he asked back. I'm sorry. How much is the rent? The man replied, it's 450,000 a month, so for 3 months. That's 1,350,000. Gi-ok was startled and blurted out, what? 1,350,000 won. The man said, if you can't pay by the end of the month, then you'll have to move out. I'm counting on you. Gi-ok bowed his head and replied, I understand. Gi-ok went back inside, his hand tightening on the door, his heart heavy. I'm screwed. If I can't pay, I'll be kicked out, and Kim Ki-seo's bank balance is only 3,351. He sighed. If the deadline is the end of the month, then I have exactly 14 days, and with the bills and rent, it's a total of 2 million won. Gi-ok muttered. Isn't there some way to make money? Or maybe I hid some money somewhere and forgot about it. A small glimmer of hope sparked within him. He rushed to the phone, whispering, that's right. I still have that one option, even though I really don't want to use it, but I just have to get back the money that was hidden away. The phone started to ring, and he said, "Hello. Is this Kang Chang-ho?" At that very moment, in a towering skyscraper, a voice echoed, "Compensation money," Chang-ho said. "It's about the accident from before. I called, but you didn't pick up. Are you still suffering from any after effects?" He smirked slyly and asked bluntly, "So how much do you need?" Giok froze, hesitating to answer right away. He stammered, "About 300, and the man on the other end frowned and asked, "What was that? I couldn't hear you." Giok thought to himself, "I really only need 2 million. But considering the incident with Jong Hasyong and the human traffickers, adding a little extra probably won't hurt." Chang-ho threatened to hang up, so he quickly shouted, "Wait, 300? I mean 3,000,001. Is that okay?" Chang-ho asked back. "Are you asking if I agree?" Upon hearing this, Chang-ho started tapping on his phone, thinking how absurd the whole situation was. A notification confirming the transfer appeared, and he said coldly, "I've sent it." Giok was completely stunned. He never imagined that such a large sum of money could be sent so easily. But after paying off the house debt and the bills, there was almost nothing left. And life is about more than just surviving. Is there any way to make more money? What can a weak mage like me even do? Just then, a call came in, and Giok saw that it was from An Yoon-seung. He thought to himself that he'd forgotten to thank him. Maybe he was worried, and that's why he called first. With that in mind, Giok reached out to answer the phone, but he suddenly stopped. An A-rank hunter can make 100 million just by clearing a gate. Later, at a small diner, Giok spoke up. "I only survived that day because you contacted Mr. Wu Jae-on for me. I was planning to treat you to a meal to thank you." Yoon-sung smiled and said, "A cup of coffee is more than enough." He nodded. "All right then," Yoon-sung replied cheerfully. "I'll really enjoy it." Hyung. Giok felt uneasy, thinking, "I'd rather have a meal. The smell of coffee makes me nauseous." The staff member asked, "Are you ready to order?" Giok replied, "I'll have the house specialty." "A vanilla latte," Yoon-sung said. "I'll take an iced Americano." He added quietly, "Please hold the coffee, and anything else that smells like it." The staff member was stunned and stammered in response, "Yes, sir, I'll do my absolute best." Giok shuddered slightly. "Did I just reveal that I'm an alien?" Yoon-seung said. "I was really surprised to hear that you had been captured." "I'm sorry, I should have come in person," Giok said softly. "I already heard. You were dealing with a dungeon break at the time." He nodded. "To be honest, the situation was really bad back then. So I had to ask Mr. Wu Jae-on for help." Giok replied, "It's all right. You had a tough time too." Giok's gaze sharpened. "First, I need to ease the tension." "But hey, Yoon-sung, have you only been handling dungeon breaks lately?" Yoon-sung was startled. "Huh." Giok's voice turned serious. "How long has it been since you've entered a gate?" "Since that time you went with me." He started to sweat and stammered. "Well, about that." Giok didn't let up, his eyes as sharp as a knife. "You're still afraid of entering A-rank gates, aren't you?" Yoon-seung stammered nervously, admitting that was indeed the case. Coming back is still too hard for him, he thought, just as I expected. Images immediately flooded his mind. The unexpected encounter with a high-level monster, the moment he was betrayed by his own teammates, the fear of death breathing down his neck. How could a 25-year-old student endure such a shock? Giok spoke gently. "But Yoon-seung, no matter what, you can't just follow an E-rank hunter like me forever. It's time for you to form your own party or prepare to become a solo hunter. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Yoon-sung, still confused, frowned and replied, "Yes." He looks so dejected, Giok thought. "Does he think I'm trying to abandon him?" He then continued. "That's why I've given it some thought. Yoon-sung, if you don't mind, I want to train you myself. What do you think?" Surprised, Yoon-sung exclaimed. "Really? I'll teach you how to use your skills and control your mana." Overjoyed, Yoon-sung said, "For real, that would be amazing for me." Giok set his cup down, sighing as if he'd achieved his goal. He thought, "He's really easy to persuade." Giok then said, "Well then, since we're on the topic, let's go find a suitable gate." The scene opened up under a golden sky covered in mystical clouds. He thought, "Good, everything is going according to plan." This is a cafe next to the D-rank gate. Maximus Temple. Not many people come here because of the low mana stone drop rate, which makes it perfect for training. Giok said, "This place looks suitable. You said your awakened attribute is the defensive type. Right. Show me your main skill." Yoon-sung replied. "Yes, sir." "I know," he said. "I'm just a little nervous performing in front of you." He frowned, looking more serious than usual. Focusing all his power, he created a solid protective shield. The shield hit the ground, creating a powerful tremor and a brilliant flash of light. Protective shield, an active skill that creates a mana shield. The more mana consumed, the larger its size. After using the skill, Yoon-sung asked, "So, what do you think?" Giok thought for a moment, then said, "First, I want to ask you something." His voice turned serious. "Why can you only block what's in front of you?" Yoon-sung answered. "Why can I only block the front? Because that's how the skill has always worked. It's been like that ever since I awakened." Giok realized something and said, "I see," he thought. This is just like... Watching him was like seeing a monkey try to use a knife for the first time. Giok muttered that he was so hard to teach, feeling completely lost on where to even begin. Giok explained, "Yoon-sung, this skill isn't just for blocking the front, it has to completely surround you." To which he replied, "Yes, don't just make a flat shield, you need to form a dome that covers you, like a glass dome." Yoon-sung asked, "Like a glass dome?" He focused again, trying to create the dome-shaped shield just as he was told. But Yoon-sung said, "Sir, I can make it bigger, but I can't seem to change its shape." Giok thought to himself, "Good grief, he's so dense it's giving me a headache." He walked over and said encouragingly, "Let's try that one more time. Imagine your chest is the center and extend your mana in a circle, like a crystal ball." Yoon-sung replied, "You mean round like this?" He sighed, saying, "I'm not doing a very good job." Giok patted his shoulder and said, "Stop messing around and focus." With a serious expression, he reminded him, "Don't lose the image you're holding in your mind." Yoon-seung's eyes filled with determination as he replied, "Yes." Sir Giok immediately corrected his posture. "Keep your back straight and breathe steadily." And he instantly obeyed. "Yes," he continued. No, that's not how you should project your mana." Yoon-sung apologized. "I'm sorry." Giok sighed. This process was truly exhausting for both of them. But after 20 minutes of Spartan-style training, Giok finally breathed a sigh of relief. The fruits of his labor had finally manifested. Yoon-sung exclaimed, I did it, sir. This is what you meant, right, but I can't move at all while doing it." Suddenly, the dome shield shattered, sending fragments flying everywhere. He laughed awkwardly, saying, "It broke." Giok calmly replied, "That's okay, just be persistent, and it will work out." He thought that if Yoon-sung could master this, he would be able to create a perfect shield with no blind spots. Yoon-seung said, "Thank you for teaching me, sir." "I never realized this skill could be used this way," Giok replied. "Skills also depend on your mindset. Mana is heavily influenced by the wielder's mind, which is why those with confidence or even a bit of arrogance often become skilled mages." Yoon-seung called out, "Sir, Giok." "Sir," he called out. What Giok answered. He asked seriously, "What is the next training exercise?" Giok replied, "All right then." His voice softened. "This time, we're going to do some practical application. Skills only truly develop when used in real combat against monsters." Yoon-seung's brow furrowed the moment he saw the sentinel. He attacked it with all his might. He formed the dome shield to block the attack from the sentinel. The force of the blow was so strong that Yoon-sung had to dig in his heels to stand his ground. He reached his hand forward, his eyes filled with fierce determination as he retaliated. He used his protective shield to strike the sentinel's body, but it was ineffective. He frowned. He withdrew his counterattack and suddenly noticed something. The sentinel raised its axe. It swung its axe hard, striking the resonant shield with a clang that echoed everywhere. Yoon-sung glanced over, as if he had spotted an opportunity to counter. He turned to face the axe. He planted his feet firmly on the ground, then stepped back to build momentum for his next attack. Yoon-sung swung his arm, generating immense power. The fiery battle began as he shot forward like an arrow. As the fight reached its climax, he unleashed a powerful blow to end it. Giok watched from the sidelines, praising him. "Nice. Very nice. That's an A rank for you. Truly overwhelming power. He gave a slight smile and said, well then, let's take it slow for now. Giok saw the scattered diamonds and muttered, I guess I should get started too. He remembered someone saying magic stones and forehead gems could be exchanged for money. Safety first. You get it, Giok said, then told Yoon Sung, just go hit it, while secretly thinking. While he's practicing, I can quickly grab the loot. He secretly planned to snatch up all the items without anyone noticing. Giok thought, why bother fighting monsters? Just this haul alone could let me live comfortably for a whole month. Doing this was much better than asking Yoon Sung to farm items or make money for him. If I annoy an A rank, I'm a dead man. I have to gather everything quickly before An Yoon Sung finds out. He asked An Yoon Seung, how's it going? Have you gotten the hang of it yet? Giok narrowed his eyes, annoyed that Yoon Seung's reaction was not what he expected and didn't suit his plans. Giok was flustered. A thought flashed through his mind, causing him to freeze with an unusually slow reaction. Could it be? Did he realize I was secretly taking his stuff? The thought made Giok's heart skip a beat. A-rank hunter An Yoon Seung, a man who had never known the feeling of fear in his entire life. During his school days, he had no trusted mentor, nor did he feel any excitement watching the achievements of athletes on TV. He simply thought, good for them for being skilled. It was just a fleeting, empty feeling that quickly vanished. But today, An Yoon Seung finally felt a true sense of awe. Yoon Seung couldn't understand it. His mind reeled with the question, as the whole situation was just too absurd. How could he figure out a skill's hidden application after just one look, and then guide him on it as naturally as breathing? He had never even heard of a skill that could read the flaws of another skill. Besides, Ji Ryong isn't an analyst type. I saw with my own eyes that he's a combat-oriented hunter. That sensory skill must be something he learned from an off-the-shelf item. A sensory skill like that could hardly reach a special level. So what power allowed him to be so accurate? Giok spoke softly, asking, and Yoon Sung, what's wrong? He stepped closer and asked directly, do you understand now? Yoon Sung mumbled, sir, that's the thing. Her words caught in her throat. She found it hard to speak, feeling a little ashamed. Using such a useless skill in front of someone as skilled as him, how pathetic must I look, Yoon Sung said. I tried, but I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. You spent time guiding me, and I'll practice hard to get it right as soon as possible. Sir. Giok wasn't angry or discouraged. He remained calm and called out gently, Yoon Sung, don't rush. If you can't do it today, we'll practice again next time. There's no need to hurry as if you have to return to battle immediately, she replied. But, he said, I'll teach you again tomorrow. Or the day after, or for many days to come. I'm an F-rank hunter, so I have plenty of time. Yoon Seung unconsciously called out, Appa. She thought about how he was passing on his valuable experience, and even telling a little white lie to ease her pressure. I felt this from the very first time we met. He's so respectable. I want to repay him in any way I can. Yoon Seung asked, Sir, is there anything you want me to do for you? Giok was a bit flustered, not understanding what she meant, and replied with a, huh. She continued to ask, is there something you need from me? He stammered. What would I need from you? No, absolutely not, Yoon Seung thought. Just as I guessed, he never asks for anything. My question was so silly it made him awkward. He isn't tempted like those other pragmatic people out there. I thought I could repay him somehow when I become an A-rank hunter, but I can't even thank him properly. Yoon Seung said, I understand. I'll listen to you today. Stop and not overexert myself. She cheerfully said goodbye. Well, I'll be going first, sir. Yoon Sung thought, I have to focus and train seriously. I will definitely be able to help him in the future. Giok stood still without a word, as if he still hadn't processed what just happened. She thought, does he really not want anything from me? Or is that his way of telling me to try harder on my own? He glanced over at Yoon Seung, a flicker of annoyance and mockery in his eyes. He glanced at the diamonds scattered on the ground, thinking that to an A-rank hunter, they were probably just a small gift. In their eyes, this stuff is probably no different from a cheap 10-won coin. If things keep up like this, even a C-rank or B-rank gate will be enough to get excited about. Just selling the items I picked up today would be enough to pay a whole month's rent. A flash of light appeared behind Giok, and the space fell into an eerie silence. Wu Jian appeared, her face scowling as she walked over holding something in her hand. Giok froze, wondering who that person was. She spoke up. "Hello, Hunter An Yoon Sung. You're late. It's just a D-rank gate. Today, I have something I need to discuss with Hunter An Yoon Sung." Wu Jian moved closer and stated clearly, "Hunter Kim Ji Ryong, you are F rank." Her voice was stern and unhappy as she asked why he was here. "Hunter Kim Ji Ryong, you were once suspected of fraudulent leveling and were even re-evaluated, weren't you?" Wu Jian frowned. "You were just cleared of suspicion. Now you're caught entering a gate illegally, one that doesn't match your rank," Giok thought. "This is a real problem." Yeon Seung was about to speak. "Hunter Wu Jian, actually." But Giok cut in. "I'm here under a porter contract for Yeon Seung." Wu Jian growled. "Rummaging through bags is your job. You call that an explanation?" "Hunter An Yoon Seung. You too. If you keep entering gates illegally like this, you'll be in big trouble." He was about to argue, but Giok interrupted. "Wait. Miss Wu Jian, illegal. According to the association's regulations, porters are not forbidden from entering gates," she replied. "But that's an insult to real porters. This rule wasn't made for people trying to find loopholes. Why don't you understand? An attitude like this will only make others more suspicious. F-rank hunters are usually very wary of danger and follow the rules strictly, so being this careless about ranks only raises more suspicion. Please cooperate with the association." He was forced to nod. "Yes. I understand," Giok thought. "There's no other way out of this now. Because they were lenient, I got careless for a while, but that awakened being is B rank, strong enough to tear a lion apart with her bare hands. Intentionally causing a scene now would only bring more trouble." Wu Jian said, "Hunter An Yoon Seung, please come with me. We need to discuss the changes in the area after the dungeon break incident." Yeon Seung nodded. "Yes," Giok thought. "Even an A-rank hunter like Yoon Sung can't resist her. I definitely can't use this method to make money anymore." He accepted it. "Well, there's nothing I can do. I saw this coming, so I've already prepared another plan." Wu Jian continued to stare at Giok, her eyes filled with suspicion. The next day, a new item message appeared on his phone, accompanied by a voice saying, Giok said, "I've been checking hunter information every morning lately. It seems this item's analysis is complete. The Twin Guardian Amulets," he said. "All this time, nobody knew anything, but it turns out this bracelet first appeared in an X-rank dungeon," Giok thought. "I kept it hoping Jong Ha-sung would contact me again. Maybe it's time to let it go," he said in surprise. "Really? I've just been holding on to this weapon like a treasure, but it looks like I finally have a reason to use it today. All right, let's begin, because today's experiment is going to be a little dangerous." Right after that, Giok stepped onto the lush green grass. He was bewildered, surprised, and wondered just where this place was. Then, Giok stared straight ahead as if he had discovered something. "A black hole, shimmering with a bright blue border," he said. "Found it. It's the lowest level gate, an F-rank gate. There are two types of gates, blue and red. This is a blue one, where no final boss appears. In a wide area, small monsters spawn continuously, and the gate closes on its own once you defeat enough of them," Giok said. "I'll be hunting here today, since this gate allows free entry and exit. It's perfect for training. Wu Jian's warning has completely blocked my easy money-making route." High above, the sun burned brightly in a deep blue sky dotted with clouds. The brilliant light forced Giok to squint. He stood in the middle of a green field that stretched all the way to the horizon. Not far away, a herd of goats was leisurely grazing on the grass. The cries of the mountain goats rang out, sounding like a discordant melody. In Giok's hand was a strange-looking blue potion. What a unique sound. Giok opened the vial's cap, and a faint smoke drifted out. It looked harmless, but in reality, it contained the essence of an incredibly dangerous monster. He tilted his head back and drank it all, and the solution began to take effect. Giok felt a wave of change spreading throughout his body. Something was awakening. His body began to glow as a torrent of mana poured out of him. The mana erupting from Giok was so powerful it was impossible to ignore. The herd of mountain goats startled and looked towards him. Giok said, "Oh, so you finally noticed. But it's too late. "You mountain goats, my casting speed." A giant fireball was created, shooting forward with incredible speed. Giok growled confidently. "Turn to ash." The fireball shot straight towards one of the goats in the herd. Flames erupted violently in midair, but in the blink of an eye, the flames died out, the heat dissipating before it could even spread. It left only a tiny scorch mark right in the middle of the goat's forehead. Though small, it was enough to make the monster go berserk. It took a deep breath, preparing to launch a counterattack. Its entire body shot forward like an arrow released from a bow. Its eyes glowed red, its teeth were clenched, and its face was filled with killing intent. Giok panicked and screamed in terror. He ran for his life. I knew it. With F-rank mana, this was inevitable. After running for a bit, Giok looked back to check if he had escaped. But he had underestimated this goat's stamina. Giok was horrified. What the heck? How is it so fast? It stayed right on his tail, making it impossible for him to escape. What a pain. Giok sprinted with all his might towards the gate. He was almost there. He finally reached it, completely exhausted, his heart pounding. Could this be it? The goat was still chasing him frantically, roaring with its mouth wide open, just as he was about to be caught. Giok slipped through the gate in the nick of time. Did I almost die in there? He stood there gasping for breath. Having just escaped the terrifying chase, Giok breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness it didn't follow him through the gate. Kimki Ryo's mana is in worse shape than I thought. His stamina is terrible too. I'm already out of breath after just a short run. Just then, a voice called out from behind Giok. "Huh? Hey man, is that you? It's been a while." Giok scratched his head, wondering. "Who is this guy?" he asked cautiously. "Who are you?" The other person laughed. "It really has been a while. Are you still working as a hunter? You don't remember me. Do you remember your first time entering a gate for the certification test? I was the team leader back then." Giok frowned. An acquaintance of Kimki Ryo. A faint memory surfaced. "If this guy knew the old Kimki Ryo, I can't afford to say the wrong thing," he continued. "Now that I think about it, you're Sung-hun. Right back Sung-hun." Giok corrected him. "Close. I'm Kimki Ryo." Gi-hyun suddenly remembered. "Ah, that's right, Ki-ryo Hyung. Hey, remember getting chased by that monster back then? It was just an F-rank monster, and you even tripped and begged for your life." Giok was annoyed. This guy talks way too much. He asked again. "So, what are you doing here? Don't tell me you're hunting alone." Giok answered vaguely. I was just doing a quick hunt." Gi-hyun sighed. "There you go again. Did you forget you promised to drop the formalities with me?" Giok was startled. "Crap. Did I really promise that?" Giok hesitated. Sorry. I've been a bit forgetful lately. All right, I'll drop the formalities." Gi-hyun. The other man smiled brightly. "Yeah," he thought to himself. "Even though this is a bit annoying, I can't back out yet. The failed soul possession left my memories incomplete. This guy might be the key," Gi-hyun suggested. "Since we ran into each other, why don't we just go together?" Giok was surprised. "Form a party right now." He explained that going alone is pretty tough, and his team was short-handed. Jae-hyun pointed behind him, asking, "Do you see that group over there?" Not far away, 3 men were standing together. He continued, "They're the people I'm working with. The one holding the axe is the leader. A D rank." Giok observed and thought, "He definitely looks like the strongest one in the group." Gi-hyun asked, "So if you're in, we can head into the gate now." Giok refused. "Sorry, I've already used up all my mana, so it'd be hard to hunt right now." Giok thought to himself, "I actually already drank my mana recovery potion for today." The man just smiled and said, "Oh, is that right? That's okay. I wasn't going to ask you to hunt anyway." Giok was surprised. "Huh," Gi-hyun replied. "The person who bailed on us today was our porter. The whole party was worried about who would carry the backpacks. So, would you be willing to help us out as a temporary porter? I'll pay you handsomely." Giok's eyes widened in surprise. He was offering great pay. He began to consider the offer. If all he had to do was carry their gear. It seemed like a good opportunity to see how a hunter party works. A monster with a sharp horn charged directly at the party, looking like it wanted to devour them all. Its heavy breathing reverberated throughout the area, and its snorts were deafening. A magic cube was raised high as a warning that the trap was sprung. Manhwa shouted, "From now on, aim for its weak spot. Don't charge head-on." Just then, the monster ground its teeth in a frenzy as if eyeing a tasty meal. Giok yelled, "Everyone, wait!" A loud boom erupted as the beast used its strength to launch its massive body upwards. Din Kwang charged forward with terrifying speed. Giok saw a dozen magic cubes shatter. This was the moment. His teammates in the back also got into a ready stance to respond. Dust billowed up from the ground as a tangled web of vines shot upwards. The monster was caught by the neck in the vines, thrashing and roaring without end. It thrashed wildly amidst the vines when suddenly a piercing sound erupted, sending dust flying everywhere. After its struggle against the vines, the creature was exhausted and collapsed to the ground. The hunter decisively swung his axe, cleaving straight into the beast's abdomen. On the sidelines, Giok relaxed, wearing his glasses and munching on popcorn as he watched the show. The monster's breaths grew fainter and fainter. Long Mat Trang watched with a tremble as his teammates ran over, cheering. "All right, we succeeded. Everyone worked hard." Giok reflected on what just happened. This party's coordination was seamless. The front line would lure the target, the mage in the rear would immobilize it, and then they'd land a critical hit to finish it off. A simple yet incredibly stable fighting style, looking just like a prehistoric hunter chasing down a mammoth. With this kind of power, it's almost enough to clear out the weak F-rank monsters. Just then, Wanho's steady voice rang out. All right, let's close the gate now." He walked over to Giok, smiling as he thanked him. "I only survived thanks to you. I can't believe that irresponsible guy just left me to deal with the one who messed everything up. Anyway, I'm really impressed with you. If you hadn't kept things under control, the situation would have been total chaos. Actually, I was planning to thank you even more since you know Hae Hyun, but, well, this was really fun." He looked at the stack of bills in his hand, expressionless, wondering what this was all about. Manhwa held out a few bills in front of him. "Here, take it." Giok paused. "This was a lot for a porter," he said quickly. "You helped us out a ton, so you deserve a bonus." Hearing that, Giok's mood brightened considerably. He suddenly called out, "Say, Kim Giok, are you free tomorrow?" Giok was surprised. "Tomorrow," he explained. "We have another F-rank gate to clear, but we're short a porter. It's a real hassle to find someone new. It would be perfect if you, Mr. Kim Giok, would agree to help us out." A glowing golden bracelet on Manhwa's wrist caught Giok's eye. Manhwa asked him directly, "So, what do you think?" Beneath a dark blue sky, highlighted by a row of brightly lit shops, a voice asked, "Hey, are you absolutely sure?" Jaehyun replied, "I already told you, it's an item from a high-rank gate. Its resale value could increase by up to 400%. Manhwa was taken aback. "You mean, you're positive?" He sighed. "The info on that ring just went public yesterday. There are probably fakes floating around already." Manhwa smirked. "I wonder if there's anything else worth taking besides the ring. The guy looks dirt poor, after all." Gi Hyun replied, "Just the ring alone is enough for us to live comfortably. In the world of hunters, there are always people like that. They avoid confronting strong monsters to go after easier targets, just like predators seeking out weak prey. They're usually low-level hunters, still new to gates, who are only focused on their protective gear. They survive by preying on the weak, like a frog swallowing a smaller one. In the business, they're called tadpole hunters, or even worse things." Gi Hyun then asked, "Are you sure it's that gate, the one with no CCTVs?" Manhwa ate his fill with a satisfied look, then asked, "Gi Hyun, you've worked with that guy's party before. Right, is there anything we should be aware of?" He reported immediately. "He's the weakest guy I've ever seen. He's got a lame leg, can't even jump right. They don't just steal valuable items, you know." Gi Hyun continued, "I heard last year he even bailed on a half-cleared F-rank gate." Manhwa nodded. "Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's job is looking way too easy. It might even turn into a little murder for fun." The sun was shining brightly the next morning as Giok stared intently at something on his phone. He scrolled for a moment before muttering to himself, "No one's here yet. I guess I'm early. I've been thinking about this constantly since yesterday. Every time I see Jae-hyun, I get the feeling he wants to say something to me, but he always hesitates." Just then, a shrill voice cut through his thoughts. "Mr. Manhwa approached with his crew. "You're here early," Jiok replied. "Oh, yeah. Hey, about the pay. Is it the same as yesterday?" He quickly answered. "Of course." He gave Giok a forced smile. "We just got a new mission. A nearby gate in a small cave. Let's go." Giok thought it was fine. A new mission sounded interesting. The ground was covered in a cold dust left behind by the wings of fallen beasts. The entire party stepped into the new territory of the hero's dungeon. Giok asked, "Gi Hyan, you said this F-rank gate has 2 bosses." "Right," he replied. "Ah, that's right." He was still suspicious. Gates usually disappear when the boss is killed, but if someone is still inside, the gate won't close. I want to learn more about this type of gate, but I need to focus on the mission first. If being a porter pays this well, I won't need to rely on An Yoon Seung's promise anymore. Giok looked at the group and spoke up. Everyone. It looks like we've circled back to where we started." The group froze. "Huh. What do you mean?" He pointed ahead and said, "Look, the monster corpse from before is still there. We've definitely taken a wrong turn. Does anyone here have a navigation skill?" As soon as Giok finished speaking, 2 of the others exchanged a calculating glance. Veins bulged on his hand as he gripped a bottle. Giok glanced around. No one. Well then? Taking advantage of his distraction, Manhwa swung the bottle hard against the back of his head, shattering the glass. Giok dropped to his knees, clutching his bleeding head. The man feigned concern. "Don't worry too much, Kim Giok. Just rest for a bit and you'll be fine. Don't worry about a thing." Blood soaked his hands. Giok was bewildered. Hunters attacking other hunters. Chang-ho sneered mockingly. "Good grief. These earthlings. They even know how to gang up on someone." Gi-hyan glanced at him contemptuously. "What a surprise. He can take a hit better than I thought." He chuckled faintly. "If I were the one hitting him, even an F-rank monster would be down in 5 seconds. Giok, his face covered in blood, yelled, "What the hell are you guys doing? This pathetic magic is supposed to take me down. My magic resistance is nearly perfect. I'm not unconscious because I can take a punch, but because this smell is disgusting." Bokjun leaned in and whispered to Manhwa, "Hey boss, it's definitely been more than 5 seconds." The words he just said echoed in his ears, making Giok freeze. Something wasn't right. He gripped the scorching stone floor. The smell in the air was unusual. Then he sprang up and started running. The group yelled in alarm. "Hey, what the? He's running away. Get him. Don't let him escape." Giok bolted out of that disgusting place. Seeing this, Manhwa immediately pointed and shouted, "Grab him! He's getting away." Another guy was still stunned. I thought he couldn't even run. As Giok ran, he thought, "I need to ditch this damn backpack to speed up." First, he had to get out of here, but unexpectedly, a vine came flying right at him. The vine wrapped tightly around Giok's leg, yanking him back. He lost his balance and fell forward, his head spinning. What kind of vine was this? Kim Jae-hyun had used a spell to capture him, unable to hide his surprise. How miraculous. "You were so weak last year. How did you get so fast?" Giok, now hanging upside down, pleaded. "Is that really what you're worried about? Please, let me down." Manhwa stared at him, stunned. What the hell is this guy? It's taking forever to deal with him. His lackeys also shook their heads, saying they'd searched him and only found a cheap-looking bracelet. Manhwa ordered, "Put him on the ground and let's see. Watch out for any more tricks." Jae-hyun roughly released his spell, and Giok's entire body slammed onto the ground, causing him to cry out in pain. He clutched his head and groaned, his face contorted in agony. "Oh my God." Before he could even recover, Giok heard a cold command. "Listen carefully." Manhwa pointed his scythe at him threateningly. "Try to run again, and I'll knock all your teeth out before I finish you." Giok tried to stay calm. "Ah, I get it. You could have just said so nicely." Giok's expression hardened, and his voice grew deeper. "At least tell me why you're doing this." He looked up at them, his eyes filled with suspicion. But their gazes were glued to the golden bracelet on his wrist. Giok glanced down at the bracelet, as if he had just realized something. He moved his hand to the right, and the entire group's eyes immediately followed. He shifted his hand to the left, and their gazes followed suit. Giok pointed to the bracelet and asked, "Is it because of this?" He held up both hands, considering it seriously. "You're planning to knock me out just for this bracelet. According to the PikiWiki, the bracelet's function is to withstand 2 attacks, with no limit on the type of attack, even one from an S-rank monster." Giok clutched the bracelet, on high alert. He never thought an item for self-defense would put him in such danger. He could just hand it over. But he knew they wanted to kill him and close the gate to erase all traces. Manho's face darkened, and he finally spoke. "Kimji Ryo, give me that bracelet now. If you do, I might just spare you." Giok yelled in a panic, "Don't come any closer." Surrounded, he warned in a low voice. "Back off before I use up both protection charges. Do you think I'm stupid enough to just hand it over?" Manhwa froze. This thing. A plan flashed in Giok's mind. It would at least keep him alive. The effect would activate as soon as they touched him. After using both charges, the bracelet would just be an accessory, but dragging this out wouldn't end the confrontation. Giok then asked, "Kim Gi-hyun, can't you just spare me?" Gi-hyun's eyes widened. "What?" He continued. "Spare my life, and we can pretend today never happened. I'm not hurt badly enough to press charges." Gi-hyun scoffed. "You say that like you mean it. You think we don't know you'd report us everywhere the second you got out." Giok was dejected. His bluff was called. Hearing this, Manhwa gritted his teeth in anger. This little bastard. He rushed forward and delivered a kick that sent Giok sprawling backward, with no time to block. He grabbed him by the collar and screamed, "Are you messing with me? An F-rank loser like you dares to haggle over an item, and the way you're testing me is driving me crazy." He kept punching him as he spoke, and Manhwa yelled, "Go on and try to use it now," while Giok's face was covered in blood. He didn't stop hitting him, his face contorted with rage. "Use the bracelet's protective function, you bastard." The others watched the scene with contempt, thinking that once the bracelet's protection runs out, he's finished. As Manhwa was about to land another punch, Giok quickly shouted, "Wait, please stop!" He struggled to speak. "I'll give it to you. I'll hand over the item, just please stop." Manhwa grinned triumphantly. "See? Isn't it much easier when you just cooperate?" Giok's hands trembled as he thought. This is the reality for an F-rank, getting beaten and humiliated. This is what happens when you have no power. He touched his bracelet, thinking that if he couldn't overcome this, everything would be over. His body was covered in wounds and his eyes were vacant. Perhaps his life would end just like this. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed from a distance. Manhwa spun around. What was that? Who dares to enter this place? He squinted to get a better look, his expression tensing with surprise. Giok struggled to lift his head, wondering, could it be? Why is someone here? Yoon-sung rushed in, and Giok called out his name. Yoon-sung. The scene flashes back to 30 minutes earlier. Giok was staring intently at his phone. A message from Yoon-seung had just arrived. He was filled with excitement, thinking how lucky he was that even though he was worthless, now, Yoon-seung still treated him so well, he thought. To Yoon-seung. "I'm just a key for high-level gates, so after I was caught for illegal entry, I thought he'd abandon me. He's willing to spend time to improve his skills. Perhaps I'm the benefactor he needs in his life," Yoon-seung thought with a smile. He looked at the water bottle in his hand. "I'll be sure to give this to him first thing when we meet." 20 minutes later, Giok still hadn't shown up. Yoon-seung sighed as he waited, glancing worriedly at his watch. It's getting late. He's been in there for a long time. He remembered that F-rank gates usually don't take this much time. His expression changed as a sense of unease washed over him. Could it be? He jumped to his feet, his fists clenched, and thought. An unusual mutation. What if the gate suddenly leveled up? He broke into a run, trying to reassure himself, no, that rarely happens. It couldn't be. He stepped into the forest. He saw a spatial gate in front of him. Yoon-seung was suspicious, but decided to check it out just in case. He walked straight into the gate. Before his eyes was a completely unfamiliar land. Seeing this, Yoon Seung told himself it was just a low-level gate, nothing to worry about. It seemed like the monsters here had already been cleared out. As he walked, he searched, wondering where Giok was. Suddenly, his expression changed. That sound was... He immediately dashed toward the sound, silently calling out Giok's name. Yoon Sung rushed forward, a shield materializing in his hand. His face was covered in sweat from rushing, and his eyes were wide with surprise. The group attacking Giok turned around. Who dares to barge in here? Gi Hyun was the first to speak. And Yoon Seung, why are you here? Giok looked up and pleaded for help. Yoon Sung, save me, these guys are robbers. They're trying to kill me to steal my items. Yoon Sung was stunned. Wasn't Giok always so calm and strong? Why is he like this now? He tried to suppress his emotions. He'd think about that later. What was more important now was... Yoon Sung unleashed his killing intent and growled, "Just a bunch of bottom feeders, aren't you?" He closed the distance, his aura crushing the group that preyed on weak hunters. One of them panicked. Damn it. The whole group was startled and shouted, "Run!" But it was too late. Yoon Sung grabbed the head of a nearby man. He threw him away like a piece of trash. Unbelievable. Low-rankers like them daring to pull such dirty tricks. He turned to the others. Dealing with this trash didn't require any thought. Seeing his overwhelming presence, the entire group turned and fled in chaos. Yoon Sung immediately gave chase. The only thing he needed to think about now was... He swung his fist at the nearest man. All he had to do was control his strength. Immediately after, he slammed the man's face into the ground. He then turned in another direction. He raised his shield to block, and one of the men ran straight into it. Face first. His hand reached out, his eyes as cold as ice. Yoon Sung grabbed the collar of a guy who was trying to run away. He threw him hard, sending the man flying to the ground. The man lay crumpled, his face bruised and contorted in pain. Yoon Sung planted his foot on the man's shoulder and looked down, speaking in a cold voice. "This bunch is pathetic. D2 rank losing to an F rank, and you still let them walk all over you." A voice called out, catching his attention. Giok, covered in injuries, walked over and said, "Thank you. I'm alive because of you." Yoon Sung replied worriedly, "Sir." He ran up to him and asked, "Are you okay? Your wounds?" Giok gave a weak smile. "Yeah, I'm fine. You came to check on me because I was late." "Right." Giok continued, "It must have been tough entering the gate alone. I've made you work hard again." Yoon Seung was shocked to hear this. He suddenly remembered how he used to be terrified just by the sounds from within a gate. But today, he didn't hesitate at all, purely because he was afraid something had happened to him. Yoon Seung looked at Giok with suspicion, wondering, could this all have been his plan? At that moment, the two started talking. Giok said, "First, we need to get out of this stone gate." Yoon Seung glanced around and then added, "As soon as we're out, I'm reporting this immediately." Giok nodded. "Yes." Yoon Seung looked around, thinking to himself, how did I not realize this sooner? As they walked, Yoon Seung slowly started to put the pieces together. Giok had been attacked by other hunters, yet he remained so calm, as if everything was going according to plan. The more he thought, the more confused he became. He mumbled, "Am I being too suspicious? He has no reason to do this." Suddenly, Giok called his name. Giok continued, "If I were a high-rank awakened, I would have definitely formed a team with you." Hearing this, Yoon Sung froze and turned around. Giok went on, "Being strong is good, but having the courage to save someone is what's truly valuable. Hunters like you are rare. You're an excellent awakened, and I hope you realize that." Those words caused an indescribable wave of emotion to swell in Yoon Seung's heart. He was moved to tears, Giok's words striking a deep chord within him. "If I were a high rank, I would have teamed up with you." He remembered that the reason he had been stuck in place for so long was because of that one failure in the past. He had blamed himself for not being able to protect anyone and for failing to fit in with his new teammates. But now, he had just saved Giok and taken down the enemies. It was a clear, decisive act. Yoon Sung looked at Giok and smiled. thinking. Maybe he intentionally recreated that past situation, just so I could experience the feeling of victory. He began to imagine that everything had been part of Giok's plan, from calling him to the gate to arranging for those low-rank awakened to be there. Seeing Giok's injured face, he thought, even those wounds, he probably inflicted them on himself to make it look real. I can't believe someone would go to such lengths for another person. Yeon Sung blurted out. Sir, can I ask you something? Why are you always looking out for me? Hearing this, Giok turned to him in surprise. Looking out for you, Yoon Sung replied. Yes. You've taught me so many things and even helped me train. Giok looked up and said calmly, You're a good person. That's reason enough. Those words made Yoon Sung smile, deeply moved, as they both walked towards the gate. A thought echoed in Yoon Sung's mind. He really is my big brother. Outside, Giok looked at him and said, We finally made it out. Yoon Sung, can you file the report for me? He nodded. Ah, yes, Giok added. Sorry, but let's postpone practice until tomorrow. I'm heading home first. Yoon Sung was startled. Huh, aren't you going to the hospital? I can call a healer I know to help. Giok waved his hand dismissively. Don't worry about it, I can handle it. I'm leaving now. Hearing this, Yoon Sung quickly said, No, wait. But, watching Giok's retreating figure, he worried. How can an F rank possibly heal on his own? The potions are so expensive. Maybe I should, he thought to himself. So, does this mean he's dropping the act of being a high-level awakened in front of me now, but behind that cool facade? Giok was clutching his stomach, his face pale as he groaned. It hurts so much. My ribs. Scene change. A few days later, at his apartment building. Giok gently touched his wound, letting out a soft groan. Standing in front of the mirror, he examined the painful area. I wonder how many ribs I broke. It's only just starting to feel better. This has truly been the worst week. As he got dressed, he recalled being sold to human traffickers, and then nearly getting killed by robbers who were after his item. Giok sighed. And today I have to attend that guild meeting. I wish I could just get it all over with at once. It's exhausting having to repeat the same excuses. He continued to complain. It's such a pain. And it's not like being an official member makes things any better. Giok picked up the item from the table. Now, what am I supposed to do with this? Hide it under my sleeve? I only found out later that its auction price is in the hundreds of millions. It can nullify damage twice, but that's still not enough to buy a dragon's lung. He stuffed the item into his pocket. Even so, it won't be easy to sell. From now on, I have to carry it without anyone noticing. As he walked up the stairs, he thought, I can't use magic myself, but I never know when I might need this. Just as he reached the top of the stairs, Giok's expression suddenly froze. In front of him was a flashy, bright red car. Who the heck drives a car like this in broad daylight? The car's window slowly rolled down. The moment he saw who was inside, Giok was utterly shocked. The person inside the red car was none other than Chang Ho. He glanced over at Giok